His understanding that they had a plan.
I have done this on my own privately for almost 10 years. To do it right way, you need local ownership group.
He told WIBC's Tony Katz that sticking with Keystone's plan for 11 Park and the Indy 11 is the quickest way to get MLS here. 23 more protesters were arrested on the IU campus in Bloomington Saturday, once again violating encampment rules on Dunn Meadow, and state police were called in to deal with it. State Rep Matt Pierce of Bloomington outraged with IU leaders.
They apparently have no understanding of how you deal with students and faculty when they're protesting on campus. You talk to them, you have a dialogue.
IU President Pam Whitten said in a statement that such encampments raise safety concerns, especially with concerns over anti-Semitism. A teenager stabbed in the back in Thorntown Sunday. That's in Boone County. Police arrested 2 other teenagers in the stabbing, and a teenager who was wounded is expected to be okay. 15 regions across Indiana set to receive a share of $500 million in new grants. John Herrick reports.
For example, places in central and southwest Indiana are getting $45 million as part of what's called the READY program, which State Representative Tim O'Brien of Evansville supports.
I applaud the state and local leaders who worked hard to ensure our region continues to be a top competitor.
He says the money will lead to nearly $11 billion in overall investments from both public and private sources to these areas. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
29 points off of 7 made threes from Miles Turner last night.
I've been shooting, threes my entire life, man. I think I've always been capable, and I put in a lot of work, to get to where I need to be.
He led the Indiana Pacers to a 126-113 win over the Bucks in Game 4 of their playoff series. They can take the series in Game 5 in Milwaukee on Tuesday. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Baer.
All right, Kurt, we are still slow coming down from Fishers on southbound 69, 116th Street past 96. That's because of an earlier crash that has cleared. Also looking at northbound 37 stop-and-go traffic, Epler 2465 because of construction. And a crash in Hendricks County, westbound 70, about 3.5 miles after State Road 267, right shoulder blocked. No delay at the moment. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance Shop. Grand Appliance for unbeatable prices. Faster delivery and expert installation on a huge selection of in-stock appliances. Learn more at grandappliance.com or your local showroom. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination. Reshaping your body each and every day. More energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High-impact protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code FUEL to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text FUEL to 511-511. Text FUEL to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Partly to mostly cloudy, some scattered showers and thunderstorms later this afternoon. Today's high, 74. Showers likely tonight. A few rumbles of thunder possible as well, low of 57. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
Showers moving through on radar, 69 on Monument Circle. I'm Kirk Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on WIBC is powered by Miss M's Home and Garden, Johnson County Spring Nursery Headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, April 29th. It is 6 minutes after 9. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Casey.
Yeah.
I have a major announcement this morning.
Oh.
To start the week.
I'm interested.
And this really pains me to do this.
What?
But I think I was wrong.
What?
I know, right? And this is just, I've had to reach deep into my soul to pull this out. But I think after hearing that interview Tony Katz did with Ursula Özdemir this morning, that I was totally wrong about what went down with this Indy 11 dealio.
Yeah. I
you-
think
now
you
you've
might
heard
have
it.
been wrong as well. And I would like to remind you at one point in our conversation about the Indy 11 deal and Hogsett's announcement that he wants to have an MLS expansion team here come to Indianapolis. At one point during our conversation, I said we should consider that maybe Hogsett is deciding to cut and run. He's enough with the 10 years with Indy 11 and Ursel, and he's moving on.
Okay, so just a little background. Then we're going to play you a couple clips from this interview these clips are a little longer than what we normally play. But what I didn't want is for anybody to hear them and then or later them go, well, he just selectively edited that, or because the answers are so bizarre that's like I wanted to play them in their entirety. So Ursel Özdemir, who is the owner of the Indy 11, the Keystone Group that's doing this or was doing this development across from Lucas Oil Stadium, was on with Tony Katz this morning. And of course, last week, all the big news late in the week was Hogsett comes out and basically seems to stick a middle finger in the Indy 11's face and says, we're going for Major League Soccer. And it appeared that Ursel Özdemir was cut out of the game. The Indy 11 are cut out of the game. And you hear this stuff initially, and you're saying to yourself, okay, Ursel Özdemir is this super rich, super successful developer. There's no way he didn't have some sort of ironclad agreement. I mean, as someone who had served in elected office in a local government capacity, these developers, whether they're asking for annexations or they're asking, for to build large developments or whatever, if it's something that's going to benefit a municipality, they're getting it in writing. Like, I've been a part of these things. I know how they work. And so I said, there's no way. I mean, this thing is infinitely bigger than anything I'd ever been a part of. I mean, I'm talking about like warehouses or, basic restaurant revitalizations or whatever. There's no way a guy of his experience and level of knowledge and know-how and business acumen, there's no way he didn't have some sort of ironclad, something he's going to be able to take into a court of law and go, ha, we gotcha.
Right.
And after hearing this interview with Tony, I'm not convinced of that at all.
Not so sure. I mean, this is a $1 billion mixed-use development deal that they were talking about, anchored by the Indy 11. And at this point, based on this interview, sounds like maybe it was done with a pinky swear.
Okay, so what stood out to me in this interview, and this is totally not Tony's fault. I'm not in any way blaming Tony. I was texting with Tony earlier. It was a great get by Tony. It was a fascinating interview. But I played this for you to hear it first. I said, am I imagining this? He doesn't answer any of Tony's questions.
No, and Tony gave him some direct questions.
Yes. I mean, they're things that, like, we're going to play two clips, and these clips are a little longer than what we normally play, but I didn't want in any way people to say I was manipulating or cutting it off or selectively editing. And Tony asked him right out of the gate, did you have a deal? And we're going to actually play Tony asking the question. So there's no he said, she said here. He asked him directly, and it's a great question. Did you have a deal with the city? And now, Casey, if you had a deal with the city, wouldn't you come rip-roaring out of the gate and go, yeah, I had a deal with the city, and those no good, you know what, this and that, they stabbed me in the back, and I'll see them in a court of law, and I'm going to take it for everything.
They're a bunch of hucksters everybody needs to know, and I'm taking them to court.
Listen to this non-answer to a question that should have been 100% right in his wheelhouse to knock out of the ballpark.
Did you have a deal? Did the Indy 11 have a deal with the city of Indianapolis about bringing Major League Soccer to Indy, or at least agreeing on building what's known as 11 Park, the stadium with the retail and the everything else?
Good morning, Tony. Thanks for having me. I am excited to be here to talk about 11 Park. Obviously, I'm a Purdue engineer. I'm a builder. I'm a developer. And I want to just kind of talk about the fact today. Keystone is one of the largest real estate developers in Indiana, and we focus on transformational mixed-use developments. As you know, in the last recent years, downtown, we've invested over $250 million, to redeveloping buildings, and we now own over almost 30 acres that we own and control downtown. So my goal is obviously, I'm a builder. I want to do that. And I want to build a transformational mixed-use development downtown. And that's what our goal has been. And that's what really we're focused on to do that. And obviously, for us, there's a right way to do this is that we purchased a franchise Yes. We looked around the country. There's a lot of cities that have a Division II teams, professional teams, like Cincinnati, Nashville, and Portland's and Seattle's, and they've done the right thing to get to MLS. But when I purchased this team over 10 years ago, and our goal was privately funded myself, and we basically, as you said, played at Carroll Stadium. We showed the Indiana that soccer is the world's game, Indiana's team, and we will be successful in the long term. And then what we've done, what we invested over the years, as you know, that we went to the State House in 2019.
Yeah, we know that.
To show our vision. For those that, obviously, there's been so much happened since then, that just to recall, when we were at the State House, we talked about 11 Park being transformational neighborhood development. Soccer is the anchor tenant for that, for Indy 11. But it wasn't just about the soccer stadium, because that's what we do. Keystone does transformational neighborhood development.
Yeah, you said
and
that.
we talked about building apartments. We talked about building hotel, restaurants, retail. We shared our vision that we want to help transform downtown.
Everyone knows
as we've done it over 20-some years.
So
he went on. That was a two-plus minute segment, Casey, and it's so straightforward. Did you have a deal with the city? If you had a deal, you would come storming out of the gate. And I am left to believe, based on that total non-answer, the only logical conclusion I can come to is
they didn't have one.
And that is insane to get in bed with Joe Hogsett, knowing his track record of stabbing anyone and everyone in the back, up to and including law enforcement. If he do it to law enforcement, you think he won't go do it to you? And it does not appear this guy, unless... why would you not answer that if you had the thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. It sounds like he didn't. And for going on for 10 years, they tried to join the MLS in 2017. They tried again in 2019. He said they shopped it around to state legislature. That's different from having a deal, a done deal, lock in step with the city.
Everybody, he said all the things we already know. We know what the Keystone Group is. We know what your vision was. We know you went to the General Assembly. He answered everything but that question.
He didn't get it done, and I think that's the entire point. He had 10 years, and I think at some point Hogsett said, you know what, I'm done with you. We're moving on.
Now, Tony was kind of, did kind of his own analysis on this afterwards, and I thought his analysis was a little interesting. Tony kind of said he didn't come out the way that he had thought, and you do wonder, is he holding something back? But if so, why would you do the interview then? What's the point of doing the interview? That is the question. Look, if you didn't have a deal with the city, then the only story here is Joe Hogsett is a backstabbing jerk who will treat his friends like garbage. Hey, we already knew that. And I cannot believe, if that's the case, that someone of Ursula Ozdemir's experience would make this deal. Also, one other clip I got to play for you, and it's the same thing about the non-answer. Tony asked him very directly if he had the money to get into the MLS.
Because there's like a $500 million buy-in.
And again, if the answer is, oh, yeah, wouldn't you come rip-roaring out of the gate? Oh, yeah, we got investors. We got more money than we know what to do with. We've offered that in a briefcase of $1 bills and wheelbarrows. And listen to this non-answer.
Does the Indy 11 have the $500 million that it would take to buy into Major League Soccer?
Well, Tony, as we said before, and maybe I should have mentioned that I have done this on my own privately for almost 10 years. Maybe it's not as clear. It's on our website, but I've recently added, to do it right way, you need local ownership group. This is Indianapolis. This is our town. And I've brought in some of the most respected Indiana families. They're born and raised here to be part of my own ownership group. You can look it up, their name, Salem family, Hageman family, Ricker family. So collectively, obviously, these are great families that are willing to invest to make sure that we have all the resources to do the stadium as well as the real estate development. And if there's an opportunity for MLS, again, MLS, it isn't just you write a check, you bring MLS. You have to have all the ingredients to be available, like a local ownership group, like a stadium deal, like to do that. And this is all we have been doing. We've been, since day one, follow the base of the right way to do this, to build the team, build the fan base, get a legislation passed, then buy the land, get it designed, and work with the cities to do that. We've done everything for us until we get to this point to get us become eligible for MLS. And so obviously we've done all the work to get it here to do that. That would have been our next push, is that after the stadium is finalized, which we're hoping that it's done now, then we will be putting all efforts and resources towards an MLS franchise to do that.
Did you hear a yes in there, Casey?
I heard that was next. We were going to do that next. That's what was coming up.
The first thing you would be like, here's our $500 million. That's set aside. That stays there so that everybody sees we're not screwing around, and then we're doing everything else. He would. I mean, those are the two questions, right? That appears to be why Hogsett did this. Is there was no deal with the city, and he found somebody who he knew had the money. And look, I'm not saying I'm Team Hogsett, because my theory on this, Casey, is Indy 11's been a great corporate partner. They've been a great part of the city. They were going to do this development, which was going to revitalize a dilapidated area. You don't stab your friends in the back. You're setting a precedent for that. But when you have no regard for anyone like Joe Hogsett does, hey, baby, if it ain't in print, I'm adios.
I feel like he should have answered it like Trump did outside the courtroom. How are you going to cover the bond? Cash.
I thought it was
You got the money? Yes.
Interesting interview. I'm sure Tony will get back into it today on his midday show. I thought Ursula Ozdemir sounded horrible in this interview, but maybe people come to other conclusions. I just thought the lack of answers to me made him look terrible.
Was a little telling, yeah. All right, you did something exciting last night. We're going to get into that coming up from 93 WIBC.
There was a scandal. You lost your law license. They threw you out of the attorney general spot. And this, running for governor, is a revenge tour. True or false?
Get beyond the talking points.
Let's talk about the knock on you. D.C. was too hard. This is way easier. You got the cash. It's no-brainer. Let's go be governor.
With the GOP gubernatorial candidates.
It's not a serious thing. It's a might as well just stay in the game thing.
Stream all the videos at WIBC.com.
On a map, the southern border is 1,000 miles away, but that's not how it feels to my family. I grew up in a blue-collar home in Richmond. My dad was a factory worker. He was laid off twice, not because the factory was doing poorly, but because it was cheaper to move those jobs across the border. I'm Jameson Carrier. Today, it's not what's leaving across the border that's devastating our families, it's what's coming in. And once again, it's personal. My wife and I lost our son Joey to fentanyl, a tragedy that's become far too common. To President Biden, secure the border is just a talking point. But to our family, it's life and death. I'm Jameson Carrier. I'm a business owner, a native Hoosier, and a Trump Republican. And we can't wait another day to secure our border and put Americans first. I'm Jameson Carrier, and I approve this message.
Jameson Carrier for Congress. Paid for by Carrier for Congress, Inc.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
What's up? I'm tired of feeling so bloated. That used to be me. Then I got this. Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion. A probiotic, right? Yeah, it works naturally with your gut to help soothe occasional bloating and gas. Plus, it has vitamin B12 to aid digestion by helping convert food to cellular energy. 2 benefits, 1 capsule.
Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion from the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand. Learn more at alignprobiotics.com.
Chapters of this story take a whole month to tell. This is May. It starts with twists and turns on the IMS road course for the Sancio Grand Prix. Then PPG presents Armed Forces Indy 500 qualifying in the fight for the pole position. May continues with Indy's biggest party, Miller Lite Carb Day. And all roads lead to the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gangbridge. May is yours. May is ours. This is May. Buy now and save. Get tickets at IMS.com.
Building a better future for Hoosiers is going to take an outsider. Brad Chambers is the only candidate for governor who's not a career politician. And only Brad Chambers built a national business from nothing. As Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers broke records for job growth all across the state. Jobs with wages higher than ever before. Because of Brad Chambers, higher wages are on the way. And only Brad Chambers can keep them coming.
Paid for by Chambers for Indiana.
Meekum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auction company, returns to Indy with Dana Meekum's 37th Original Spring Classic, May 10th through the 18th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds.
3,000 muscle cars, Corvettes, exotics, and more. Broadcast on Motor Trend TV and streaming live on Max. From avid collectors to those new to the Mecum experience, we welcome everyone. Register to bid now at Mecum.com.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Plumbing problems stink. The LD Smith Crew can handle anything. Call today for $50 off any plumbing repair, big or small.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Mother's Day is almost here. Miss M's Home and Garden is fully stocked with high-quality annuals, trees, shrubs, decor, and more. State Road 135 in Bargersville.
You actually did something social and out in public last night, Rob, and you seem to be aging rather well. We're going to get into that coming up on 93 WIBC.
Admit it. You saw that photo and you were like, dang, give me some of that.
Yeah, that's exactly how I was. Something else that maybe not aging quite as well as they had hoped. For the past 30 years, Circle Center Mall has been somewhat of the commerce hub of downtown Indianapolis, and now it's going to have new owners. Of course, the sale of Circle Center Mall has been completed. The new owners announced it last week, and it's going to be Hendricks Commercial Properties Group that are going to be taking over, and they're set to invest about $600 million over the next decade into Circle Center Mall and transform it into an open-air, pedestrian-focused campus.
Well, I believe it was 9 Inch Nails and then Johnny Cash that once said everything I know goes away in the end. Kev's smiling at that because he's a big 9 Inch Nails fan. Yeah. And that's part of getting older is the realization that things that brought you happiness or joy or comfort, unless they find a way to modernize themselves, they eventually go away to make way for new things that fill new needs of a community. And the reality is, for people my age, we were kids when Circle Center Mall became a thing. And in the mid-90s, malls were still a vital, vibrant part of any thriving community. Circle Center Mall was this totally, game-changing place. I mean, they had the arcade and the movie theater and obviously all the shops. But let's face it, in-person brick-and-mortar stores are, thanks to online shopping, et cetera, not what they once were. People like Hogsett and Ryan Mears have allowed this city to get to a point from a safety perspective where people don't have any desire really to come downtown unless it's some sort of destination type of thing, like a Pacers game or a concert or whatever for many people. So it's simply the mall model in a major metropolitan city. Simply unsustainable.
Have you been to Circle Center Mall in a while? It's pretty quiet inside.
Man, yeah. I used to go over there all the time when I was when I actually used to work really hard over here. When I was the producer for the women, and then they'd take full advantage of me and have me work afternoon shifts. Man, it's been a long time since I've been in Circle Center Mall, and the last probably a year, maybe two. And the last time I was in there, it was pretty desolate.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet now. They're going to include some retail space in the new version of it, but also office space and even residential development. And part of this includes $64 million in tax credits and partly forgivable loans if this Hendricks group meets all of the development requirements. And they're going to have a decade to do it. And this has all been finalized with the city and our good friends at IEDC.
Oh, boy.
They're all going to work collaboratively.
Well, look, when we got into this deep dive on this Brad Chambers development, that was a Cityway, is that the name of it, that the Indy Star had the big expose on, and how, he got those sweet loans from the city and hasn't paid a bunch of them back. And, while the project itself is okay, from a financial standpoint, it doesn't appear the city's kind of been made whole. And so you just hope that whatever this is and whatever deal has been struck, that it will create a vibrant vibrant downtown, and to give people a reason, I should say, to come back here and try to put some commerce into that large chunk of prime real estate, because right now it's not happening.
Yep. Mayor Hogsett, he said that Indianapolis has been waiting for the day when a bold vision would once again reimagine this asset in the heart of the city. So,
all right,
good
Casey,
luck to 'em.
let's take a break.
Yeah.
When we come back, Casey's been she's just been clamoring for everyone to see this photo, a beautiful photo of 23-year-old me. And
I have.
She's just like, oh my gosh, you have to show everybody. I went and did something with a longtime friend, and then I found an old photo of us, and Casey was like, oh my God, it's just unbelievable.
All right, well, we're going to reveal that coming up from 93 WIBC.
I'm a moderate Republican.
That's Jefferson Shreve. Listen to Shreve again as he tries to gain favor with the corporate press and leftist voters.
I'm a moderate Republican.
As the far left wages a culture war, Jefferson Shreve has already surrendered. The NRA gives Shreve an F for his anti-gun policies. Shreve is pro-choice, speaking out against Indiana's pro-life laws. Shreve won't even vote for the GOP nominee, President Donald J. Trump, telling the Indy Star, quote, if Trump becomes the Republican presidential nominee, he would not have Shreve's vote.
I'm a moderate Republican.
We don't need another moderate who will fight against conservatives and President Trump. We need a conservative champion. Mike Speedy is the only candidate who is both endorsed by Indiana Right to Life and is A+ rated by the NRA. Mike Speedy also endorses President Trump and will help him deport illegals. Paid for by Mike Speedy for Congress.
I'm Mike Speedy. I'm running for Congress, and I approve this message.
Hey, it's Hammer Nigel, and look, if you're over 60 and you've not filed for Social Security, there's some stats you might want to know about.
Did you know that 96% of Americans forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income?
Wow, and it's because they file for their benefits at the wrong time. Now, you could learn how you could wring every nickel out of the benefits with a free customized Social Security analysis from Bill Demery. He's your retirement guy right here in Indy.
The free analysis makes filing for Social Security as easy as it can be, and it could help ensure you get the last penny out of the benefits that are rightfully yours.
So if you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and you've not filed for Social Security, call now, 317-648-5120. That's 648-5120. Schedule your free analysis by calling Bill Demery at 648-5120. And tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Concerns over help in their war. Some showers on radar, 70 degrees downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. How are they using the aid? Fox's Ryan Schmelz.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been advised that Israel might not be following international law in Gaza. In an internal State Department memo reviewed by Reuters, senior officials claim they don't find, quote, credible or reliable assurances Israel is using U.S.-supplied weapons properly. Several other State Department bureaus contributing to the memo continue to support Israel's assurances, while others are not taking a position. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
On that note, university campuses across the country remain tense as protests against the Israel-Hamas war continue to brush up against police and administration. More arrests happened at IU over the weekend. Meanwhile, at George Washington University in D.C., more of the same there, and there were also clashes between protesters supporting and against Israel on the campus of UCLA. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. Some slight gains at the opening bell. The Dow is up 54 to 38,495. The NASDAQ is up 70 to 17,916. And the S&P 500 is up 13 to 5,144. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
My husband, Bob, has Parkinson's, and he needs more help now, and I need more support to help him. Thanks to Indiana Pathways for Aging, we're getting the support we need to help him right here at home, like with meal prep and basic personal care, and even respite support for me.
Pathways provides Hoosier Medicaid members, age 60 and over, support for care their way, so they can live life their way. Eligible members can select a plan now. Call 87-PATHWAY-4 or visit in.gov/pathways.
It's the first day of the first most great, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Our Cookie Two-Step Ice Cream is a creamy vanilla ice cream with hints of brown sugar, chunks of chocolate cream-filled cookies, and tasty chocolate chip cookie dough pieces. Cookie Two-Step has everybody's taste buds two-stepping, and 1 and 2.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
Your nose is for breathing. Your mouth is for eating. And if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not because your body wants to. It's because it has to, because your nose isn't working properly. And although you've lived like this, it's no way to live, and it's having a significant impact on your life. I know you know this, and I know that taking action isn't always convenient. But at Advent, we've done all we can to make changing your life for the better as easy as possible. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. With tens of thousands of our patients, a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, along with a simple 20-minute in-office procedure called balloon sinuplasty, has opened their nasal passages, allowing them to breathe freely through their nose for good. And there's a good chance this procedure can do the same for you. We'll help you breathe through your nose again, and it will change your life.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Are you ready to rock and roll? You got another thing coming. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So you did a thing last night down at White River State Park, huh?
I left the house.
Yeah, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. You were among all your fans, weren't you?
It's so rare, like maybe 2 or 3 times a year, that if it's not something work-related, be it the golf course or here, that I leave the house, for any sort of social interaction.
Yeah.
I've said before, I am the James Earl Jones character from Field of Dreams at the hot dog stand, and my desire is to be left alone.
I'm surprised that the event that you went to kind of shocked me. You mentioned it briefly as you were running out the door on Friday, and then I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, my buddy Scott, who is an incredibly accomplished newsman in Ohio, in a major media market in Columbus, in Ohio, for the kind of their equivalent of WIBC over there. We've been friends for about 20 years. He is a gigantic fan of this obscure Swedish band called Sabaton. Mm-hmm. You probably know who these guys are,
That
Kev.
sounds right up my alley.
Oh, you would have loved it, Kev. I was sitting there watching these yahoos, and I was like, this Kevin should be here.
That's my style.
Sabaton, look them up, Kev. And so they were opening for Judas Priest, and so he's like, hey, I got the week off work. You care if I roll in and we'll go to the Judas Priest concert so I can see these guys? And I see the guy once every couple of years, and so asked my wife if it would be fine if I was a terrible father and abandoned my family for the evening, and she said absolutely. So we went down to White River, and man, I'll tell you what, last night, Casey, downtown with the Pacer game, that concert, I would say there was probably, I don't know, 6,000-7,000 people there at White River. I mean, the place looked pretty much packed, sold out. And, man, just an awesome time downtown Indianapolis, giving off some great vibes last night.
And you felt safe and everything was okay. I mean, you had nice weather for the evening.
Well, you have seen my buddy Scott. By the way, and we'll get to this in a second, I have a picture of us up at Rob M. Kendall on Twitter. He looks like the sort of guy you would, one, who would be at a Judas Priest concert, and two, a guy you would not actually want to mess with. So I felt relatively safe. But we sprinted. I mean, we didn't dawdle around. We parked at the parking garage here, and we were on a rapid jog and ignoring the panhandlers and the homeless people, and made it there and back in one piece.
No, you don't have a full body shot of him. But if I were to stereotype him, just based on his head, because that's all I can see. He's bald. He's got a big beard.
Yeah.
He looks like the type of dude who carries and rides a Harley.
He is he's a farmer by trade.
Okay.
And he runs his family farm and does the news. And yes, he looks straight out of Sons of Anarchy Central casting, right?
Yeah.
But he's like just the nicest guy in the world. Here was one thing that was great. It was like, we were just amongst the people and bunch of people coming up saying, hey, we love the show. We listen all the time. Where's Casey?
She's not at the Judas Priest concert.
Not here.
The dude totally wanted to go. Hey, we could have gone downtown. I was like, go for it.
But man, it was awesome to meet a bunch of people that were fans of the show, and we appreciate all you guys, and we appreciate you listening. And like I said, it's just a rare opportunity that I was able to get out of the house for a few hours. And so here's what I did. Like I said, my buddy Scott and I have been friends for 20 years now. And so I came in this morning and I said, Casey, I found a photo of us from 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And I showed it to her and I said, admit it, Casey, you would have been madly in love with 23-year-old Rob Kendall.
You have a very nice smile. All those white pearly teeth are glowing. Now, here's the thing that I noticed. First, let's talk about your friend.
Yeah.
Scott is his name. He, the younger version of Scott, he looks like he's got a full head of hair and he's smiling nicely.
Yeah.
And his face is thinner.
Yeah. It's called aging.
Yeah, but now his face is fuller, the hair's gone, but the beard is full now.
Yes.
So he took the hair from his head and put it on his face. You, on the other side, when you were younger, your face looked fuller.
Yeah.
I almost want to say it's baby fat.
Could be.
Now,
youthful beauty.
Your face has thinned out.
So we were talking about this, and I'm like the last person to toot my own horn, Casey, you know, with my modesty. But I am I'm not going to say I'm one of those age in reverse people like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But I think I'm now inside. Look, I have no idea what's going on inside, because it's been TV dinners and sodas and alcohol for 20 years. So it could be just a complete
great
disaster.
diet.
But externally, I will put 20 years of Rob Kendall up against 20 years of anybody else. And I think I'm going to hold, I think I'm going to hold serve.
Yeah. Well, now that you got the hair fixed, I mean, you got the same head of hair.
That's it. That was the only thing. I mean, I'm basically same weight. I'm basically... same level of fitness.
Are you the same weight?
Pretty much. I weigh somewhere between 155 and 160, and that's normally what I am. I've been more like, buff, for lack of a better term, based on my marital or dating status at various times. But other than that, I've always kind of been, look at this. I mean, I treat my body like an Adonis, Casey.
You're like Benjamin Button.
Oh, no.
So we put the photo up of us 17 years apart at Robin Kendall on Twitter. Casey edited this for me because, I know nothing about technology. I walk in and I go, Casey, can you take two photos?
Can you do a side-by-side?
I said,
yes, I can.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I see this on the internet. And so Casey did that. And so I put them up at Robin Kendall on Twitter. And look, my only thing is, all the women cannot remove their underwear at once when they see this photo of a young version of me. That's my only thing. Okay?
No, you didn't. No, you're taken. You're a married man. You can't make that happen anymore.
What were you doing over the weekend? You were cooking?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you were souffleing.
I went crazy. So I went shopping with my daughter, and I saw some little ceramic ramekins, and I thought, you
saw some what?
Ramekins. They're the little small round dish. And
okay.
You can bake all sorts of different things in them. And so one thing I realized is I've never knew how to make a souffle, and I thought that might be fun. So
whoa. Like, that has been a life ambition of yours?
It was just something I thought I was kind of interested in. Let's see if I can do this.
Yeah.
So I made the vanilla souffle on Saturday, and then that turned out pretty well. It didn't have a strong flavor profile, but I had to make sure I knew what I was doing.
What does that mean? It didn't have a strong flavor profile.
There just wasn't a lot to it. It was vanilla.
Does that mean there's like an imbalance of ingredients?
No, it just means it's not as flavorful or robust as it could be. So
you're teaching yourself. You don't want to get super fancy with it.
Right, on your first try.
Sure.
So I did that, and then we graduated up to the cheese souffle, which was amazing.
Wait.
A little more savory of a dish.
So is that still a dessert?
No, No, it's definitely more of a savory thing.
Okay, gotcha.
And then after the souffle, I said, I'm not done yet. So I did chicken pot pie with homemade crust, and that was amazing.
When did you start being Gordon Ramsay?
I know. Do you know what you can learn to do with YouTube? It's just amazing. Just follow the instructions on YouTube. And then I topped it off with an apple crisp.
Now,
apple crumble.
Have you long been into, like, I've never heard you express some sort of serious interest in cooking.
Right. I don't know. I'm next level now.
Do you cook often? Do you cook quite often?
No, I bake more than I cook.
Oh, okay.
But when I do it, I'm all in apparently.
It looked beautiful.
Yeah.
You sent me a photo.
Good.
I thought it was a stock photo.
Did you really?
It looked that good.
So I sent it to Kevin, and he said, well, you have the presentation down. How does it taste?
I was very impressed with the presentation.
Yeah.
You should totally post that to @CaseyDaniels317 so people can see that.
I'll do a side-by-side of all the different things that I prepared over the weekend. So next step is the chocolate souffle.
Yeah.
And that one, if it's any good, I'll bring in and share with you guys, okay?
Wonderful.
You are listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, IU and the protesters. Exactly how should the Indiana State Police handle things? After the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Bill Frazier is a Hoosier, an American, who has served our citizens with distinction, determination, and a wisdom that comes with years of experience. Now, Bill Frazier is ready to dedicate his life to serving you as your next congressman in Indiana's 6th District. Bill Frazier is a true conservative. He'll fight for a secure border, smaller government, and lower taxes. He will be a tireless advocate for the Second Amendment and the rights of the unborn. Bill Frazier is a veteran paratrooper, a successful farmer and business owner, a licensed commercial jet pilot, a man with experience. When President Ronald Reagan needed expert advice on agricultural issues, he called on a young Hoosier farmer, Bill Frazier. Ronald Reagan trusted Bill Frazier. You can too. Vote for experience and determination. Vote for the true conservative Hoosier. Vote for Bill Frazier for Congress.
I'm Bill Frazier, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Friends of Bill Frazier.
According to a 2023 Gallup poll, 71% of non-retired adults are worried about retirement saving. At Howard Bailey Financial, we don't believe retiring with confidence should be guesswork. In fact, our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we provide our Retire with Purpose toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you won't outlive. To receive your complimentary toolkit, text CLARITY to 866-482-9559. Take a step toward a more confident retirement with Howard Bailey Financial and text CLARITY to 866-482-9559.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
On a map, the southern border is 1,000 miles away, but that's not how it feels to my family. I grew up in a blue-collar home in Richmond. My dad was a factory worker. He was laid off twice. Not because the factory was doing poorly, but because it was cheaper to move those jobs across the border. I'm Jameson Carrier. Today, it's not what's leaving across the border that's devastating our families. It's what's coming in. And once again, it's personal. My wife and I lost our son Joey to fentanyl, a tragedy that's become far too common. To President Biden, secure the border is just a talking point. But to our family, it's life and death. I'm Jameson Carrier. I'm a business owner, a native Hoosier, and a Trump Republican. And we can't wait another day to secure our border and put Americans first. I'm Jameson Carrier, and I approve this message.
Jameson Carrier for Congress. Paid for by Carrier for Congress, Inc.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You want to listen all day to WIBC, but you don't always have time. Don't worry. There's a podcast for that. The WIBC Mashup. Daily highlights from your favorite hosts, Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, and Hammer and Nigel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
So over the weekend, weekend, Rob was busy at a concert. I was busy cooking. You know what your president was doing?
Did you post that photo, by the way, of your food?
No, not yet. I'm going to do it here in
Totally have
just
to
a
do
minute.
that.
When we get into the news, I'll post it.
What was Joe Biden doing?
He was at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner making jokes. And that's what you would expect, right? With inflation where it is, the border open, everything going on across the globe, and he's making jokes.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because going all the way back, like I get that they've done this for generations now, that the president has gone and done this. But I don't know. I mean, I obviously first started paying attention to these sort of things. Bush was president. And I remember him doing some bit where he was looking for the weapons of mass destruction on stage.
Totally inappropriate.
And ever since then, this country has just gotten progressively worse year after year after year. And yet these presidents go and crack jokes. And it's like, I get that in your lavish lifestyle, where everything from limousine rides to state-of-the-art, gymnasiums to, the world's greatest chefs, and everything's kind of okay for you in that Washington insider crowd. There ain't nothing funny about what's going on in the world to me.
He was making fun of Donald Trump, saying that, he was poking fun of his own age. Yeah, of course I look old when I'm running against a 6-year-old. And here's another one of his jokes.
Some of you complain that I don't take enough of your questions. No comment. Of course, the New York Times issued a statement blasting me for, quote, active and effectively avoiding independent journalists. Hey, if that's what it takes to get the New York Times to say I'm active and effective, I'm for it.
So Saturday Night Live's Colin Jost was the host of the event. He got a couple. Colin Jost. He does the weekend update with Michael Che.
I don't.
And he, at one point, he joked that
Michael who?
Yeah, Michael Che.
He's a comedian.
Is he related to the Che guy that's on the T-shirt?
Che Guevara? No relation.
I don't know who any of these people are, Casey. No, I mean, do you think who are these two people that you just named?
Colin Jost and Michael Che.
Do you think the average person has any idea who Colin Jost and Michael Che is? And look, I get that I'm not Mr. Pop Culture.
Yeah.
But there was a time where Saturday Night Live, you knew all the characters,
They've
right?
been doing it for a while. They're on a couple years now of hosting the weekend update.
But my greater question is, like, is anybody still watching Saturday Night Live outside of that little, like, elitist bubble?
Right.
Like, what conservative person is actively watching Saturday Night Live and thinking, oh, this is really funny, I'm getting a lot out of Saturday Night Live?
Well, especially not after this performance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I mean, Colin Jost was just, really buttering up Joe Biden. Of course, Donald Trump had a few things to say about it. He said the White House Correspondents' Dinner was really bad. Colin Jost bombed, and Crooked Joe was an absolute disaster. Doesn't get much worse than this. And for his part, Joe Biden, your president, now openly joking about the political persecution against his top political opponent.
I had a great stretch since the State of the Union. But Donald has had a few tough days lately. You might call it stormy weather. What the hell?
So he made a few jokes and barbs at Donald Trump's expense.
Well, and look, he comes full circle from the standpoint of whether it was, and we're equal opportunity offenders here, because we started this segment off about, talking about how when Bush did it, I thought it was totally inappropriate. This country is crushing a lot of people right now. There's more people it's crushing than it's helping, and it isn't even close. And Joe Biden has no answers for anything. You've got people who can't afford food. You've got people who can't afford gas. You've got people who can't afford homes. They can't afford to move up. They can't afford to move forward. And they're doing nothing to help that. You've got 9 million people who have illegally entered the country. You've got the Middle East basically in flames. You've got a complete disaster in Afghanistan. You've got literally hundreds of billions of dollars now being printed, which is making everything more expensive to go to a government, in the case of Ukraine, who hates us. And it's all just fun and games to these people. They live in their own little bubble. They live in their own little world, and they don't feel the ramifications of any of this, so why would they care?
You could tell there was some nervous laughter a few times from the audience, and Colin Jost, the guy who was hosting, he made jokes at Fox News and Newsmax. Didn't say anything about CNN.
No, of course not.
Or MSNBC.
Of course not.
Of course, he's not going to say anything about NBC because that's where his paycheck comes from. But you were asking about Michael Che, his co-host on Saturday Night Live, and here is Colin Jost. He's roasting Biden after some of his recent polls and his loss of the black community's support.
Like many of you here tonight, I pretend to do news on TV. My Weekend Update co-anchor, Michael Che, was going to join me here tonight, but in solidarity with President Biden, I decided to lose all my black support.
It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hey, did your man go to the big shindig downtown over the weekend?
He did. He stopped in really quick to meet up with some people.
What was it? Was it PopCon? Is that
Yeah.
what that's called? Did you go with him?
No, I did not.
You just sitting on his own?
I was cooking. I spent my entire paycheck at the grocery store. And I thought, I'm going to make some food to last us the whole week because it's too expensive now to go out to eat. So I'm going to try and recreate some restaurant-style food here at home.
Yeah, I saw that he went, and so I just wondered if he gave you sort of a play-by-play of the sights and shenanigans that he saw down there, because I know Abdul was there as well. And
that seems like it would be right up Abdul's alley.
Oh, totally. He's getting like photos with Darth Vader and then some sort of, I saw he had some sort of character made of Superman, but it's his face on Superman's body. And so I just saw that your man went and he was photographing with all the, you know, the big muckety mucks that he always hangs out with.
Yeah, he went down for a minute and he came back, and I think at one point he wanted to tell me about the experience.
And you didn't care?
But I put him to work.
You're just disinterested?
I was like, those onions need to be done.
Here's the thing about...
Start chopping some celery.
This is the thing about Casey's husband is there are certain people, and Kev, you will back me up on this from a dude perspective, who just have the outwardly friendly face and cool guy persona where you're like, that guy could walk into a room and within give him 30 minutes and everybody will want to take him out to St. Elmo's for, you know, cocktails and shrimp. And that's your husband. Like he just meets random people.
Aren't I so lucky?
And becomes their best friend. And then he's always like, this is my friend Larry. I met him 20 minutes ago. We're best friends now. Larry has a fine collection of model airplanes.
Yes. And then what did I do? Start chopping celery. We need to peel these apples. Let's go. He was my sous chef over the weekend.
Okay, so why don't we what are we going to do at the top of next hour?
I don't know. I wanted to talk about Venice. Did you hear about Venice? How
No.
they're charging people to get into the city?
Oh, that's like access to the city itself.
Yeah, they're charging day tourists a fee. Have you ever heard about that?
That's actually not a bad idea.
Like, because, you know, they've got these peak attraction times when everybody wants to come into Venice and it's a small place. And so the city decided we're going to start charging people to enter
like that.
our city.
I don't want new people where I live.
Right?
I like that.
It's not a big expense. It's $5.37.
Perfect.
Random price, right?
Anything to keep people away from me and people out of the place that I live, I'm kind of for that. I wonder if you could legally do that in the state of Indiana. Like, could you set up a barrier at the Brownsburg town limits and charge people who don't have some sort of ID that they live in the town?
Well,
to
that's
get
the
into
thing with
town?
Venice. I mean, it's surrounded by water, so you have to
this.
one way in, one way out.
I like this.
You'd have to have a checkpoint on every road in Brownsburg to make that happen.
Don't threaten me with a good time, Casey.
Of course, in Brownsburg, they wouldn't make it $5.37. They'd make it more like $10, $15. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
She isn't working for us, so who is Victoria Spartz working for in Congress? Victoria Spartz said she'd fight the radical left, but spoke in defense of the squad's Ilhan Omar and refused to officially condemn Rashida Tlaib after her hateful, anti-Semitic statements. While there's an invasion on our southern border, Spartz votes to send $40 billion of our tax dollars to Ukraine. Victoria Spartz also says she stands with President Trump. Truth is, Spartz stated it's irrelevant who the president is and helps the Biden administration pass their agenda. Chuck Goodrich is an America First conservative. Chuck built a business that hires and builds American, and Chuck voted to end sanctuary cities. Chuck puts our national defense first by banning any Chinese presence near our military and National Guard bases. Chuck Goodrich fights for our values, voting to protect female sports and keep biological males from competing against young women in Indiana. Vote Chuck Goodrich for Congress. Paid for by Go With Chuck Goodrich.
I'm Chuck Goodrich, a candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
The elites want more control through digital currencies in a cashless society. This is Stephen K. Bannon, and I believe gold is the answer to safeguard your wealth, especially if you own your gold inside of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting SHELTER to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, so text SHELTER to the number 989898 to claim your free info kit today.
Message and data rates may apply.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first, and then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Are you sick and tired of do-nothing politicians who say one thing and do another?
I am, but who do you vote for?
John Jacob is the only candidate with a proven record running for Congress in District 6. John proved he's not afraid to stand against the radical left and the Republican establishment swamp.
John Jacob, my kind of guy.
John Jacob knows who he is. He says what he'll do, then he actually does it. He has not and will not compromise our rights away. Even his enemies know that.
John Jacob, a true Republican, not a rhino, different from all the others.
As a former state rep, John proved that he will fight for we the people. John Jacob fulfilled all his campaign promises.
A man of his word, a backbone of steel, Republican John Jacob has my vote.
I urge everyone to join me. Help get the word out and vote for John Jacob on May 7th. Learn more at voteforjohnjacob.com. That's vote, the number 4, johnjacob.com.
I'm John Jacob. I approve this ad. I say it's always right to do right, and it's always wrong to do wrong. Don't waste your vote on inexperience or bad experience. Vote John Jacob for Congress, District 6 in the Republican primary on May 7. Paid for by John Jacob for Congress.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Now through Monday, it's our once-in-a-lifetime sale. You thought the eclipse was big? This sale is bigger. Every mattress by Indiana-made Sealy. All outdoor furniture by Berlin Gardens and Pollywood. Every sectional, sofa, recliner by Indiana-made Smith Brothers and Lazy Boy is on sale now through Monday. Low price guarantee only at Thompson Furniture Mattress in Columbus.
Coming up in 2 minutes, what Indy 11's owner has to say about the mayor's push for MLS, plus more arrests made on the IU campus Saturday, and how the Pacers shot their way to a 3-1 lead. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC at WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 9 o'clock.
They keep protesting and encamping on college campuses nationwide. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and at times the anger is boiled over. That's at UCLA in California, where pro and anti-Israeli demonstrators clashed, getting into fistfights as the U.S. keeps trying to stop the war in Gaza. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's in Saudi Arabia pushing for a ceasefire.
We are determined to do everything we can to bring an end to the terrible human suffering that we're seeing every single day in Gaza.
He's again warning Israel against a ground invasion in Rafah, an area of Gaza filled with civilians. Israeli airstrikes there overnight killed 22 Palestinians. Former President Trump just posted on Truth Social, Israel will find, very sadly, there are far fewer hostages than currently being thought. That's why, he wrote, it's hard for Hamas to make a deal. A new CNN poll gives the former president a 6-point lead over President Biden. Vice President Harris will go to Atlanta today
to kick off this new messaging tour about economic opportunity, targeting that message to black voters, where polls show the president has been sliding. A recent Wall Street Journal poll showed that more black men plan to support Trump than Biden in 7 critical swing states, and drawing back some of that support's going to weigh heavily in places like Georgia.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the the White House, there is grief and disbelief in areas torn apart by weekend tornadoes. 4 people were killed in Oklahoma, where Sulphur's downtown was obliterated.
Just can't believe it. I mean, it just really destroyed this town.
Governor Kevin Stitt. There's also destruction in Nebraska. Jason Sunday tells Fox his family survived hiding in the bathroom as the tornado hit.
It was devastating. We walked out of that bathroom and opened the door and just saw, the heavens, the skies right above us. The house was, it was unrecognizable. The roof was completely ripped off. We still haven't even found the roof.
And he is vowing to rebuild. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Why the sudden change? Some spotty showers on radar, 69 on Monument Circle. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. A developer is prepared to build a soccer stadium that will dramatically change Indianapolis' skyline. Ryan Hedrick reports.
Yet Indy 11 owner Ursil Ozdemir is baffled by Mayor Joe Hogsett's departure from the original plan to construct a new stadium, especially because they've already broken ground on a site.
And then with that old understanding, we started tearing the buildings down. The site is now ready to be built.
Ozdemir talking with WIBC's Tony Katz. The mayor wants an MLS team but doesn't have a group to pay for the upfront costs. With 11 Park, a plan to pay for the stadium is already there. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
More arrests at Dunn Meadow on the IU campus over the weekend.
I've called the university's President Witten's handling of this amateurish.
That's State Rep Matt Pierce, who says that the students who are protesting against Israel are having their right to free speech violated. School leaders, though, say that they are violating university policies on encampments on IU property. A 12-year-old child is now dead after being hit by a car Friday morning. It happened along Elder Avenue on the west side. IMPD investigating the incident as a hit and run. When it comes to the border, for State Rep Mike Speedy, it should be rule of law first, talk second.
Once that border is secure, that's the time for an immigration discussion. Prior to that, it does not serve any purpose until we reestablish the rule of law.
Speedy on all Indiana politics. He's running to succeed Congressman Greg Pence. IndyCar driver David Malukas has been released by Arrow McLaren Racing. Malukas has been sidelined with a broken wrist the last 4 races. It was raining threes inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Here comes Halliburton on the break for 3. Pacers with their largest lead of Game 4.
Mark Boyle on the call as the Indiana Pacers beat Milwaukee 126-113 in Game 4 of their first-round playoff series. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Politicians who tell you what you want to hear and do the exact opposite. Nothing new there, right? Well, this is one for the record books. I'm sure you've seen his ads. See if you can guess who this is. He was an original Never-Trumper, on the board of the campaign that opposed Donald Trump from the beginning. Sponsored a bill to restrict guns and gear from police departments. Talk about defund the police. Even voted to pay tuition for illegals with our tax dollars. And gave them driver's licenses too. Oh, and he raised taxes 20 times and doubled state spending. Who is this big budget liberal, you ask? It's Republican Mike Speedy. So don't be fooled by those ads. Know the real record before you vote. Mike Speedy's liberal record.
I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Shreve for Congress.
This hour on WIBC, powered by Sundown Gardens, Hamilton County's spring nursery headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, April 29th. It is 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Let's do a little bit of a weekend recap. At least 60 Indiana State Police in riot gear moved in on pro-Palestinian protesters at IU over the weekend. They dismantled
Wait. You mean
pro-Hamas?
People who support terrorists.
Yes.
Terrorists supporting protesters.
Yes.
Go ahead, yes.
They dismantled some of their encampments, and they ended up arresting about 23 different people.
Well, and I love the fact that there are people who are up in arms over this, where, and this is a society and a culture and a group of people who think they have the right to do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it. And the reality is, in a civil society, there are ways that protests should work. There are ways to get your point across and not ruin the existence of everybody else who is sharing the eco-space of which you are also attempting to exist. And it really shows you who these people are, that they're so entitled that they're willing to disobey. One, they're not willing to follow the proper rules, procedures, et cetera. Then when they get multiple chances, they're told, hey, look, you're not doing this the right way. You need to pack up. You need to move on. There's, rules, procedures, whatever. They still refuse to comply, to the point that they put law enforcement officers into a very terrible position, because now as a law enforcement officer, the woke brigade comes swooping in going, oh, look, the cops, they're stymieing people's right to free speech or be heard or whatever. No, the reality is those people are a-holes who just refuse to follow the rules of decent society, which means you got to get some paperwork. You got to go in approved areas. And the reason that is done, I don't think anybody looks at like IU and goes, boy, they're really a conservative haven. They're really protecting the conservatives from all the super libs down there. No, but even the liberal, hierarchy that makes up Indiana University is like, dude, you guys are insane, and you can't just do whatever you want to do.
So IU put out a statement, and they said that IU encourages and respects free speech, including the right to peacefully protest and demonstrate. And then it goes on with, you might as well put the big but.
Right.
However, consistent with university policy, the installation of temporary structures, including tents, is not permitted. It's not allowed overnight. And this includes the students, the faculty, the staff, and the visitors. They're all expected to comply with both the university policies and the state law. And the students will be held accountable according to their student code of conduct.
They should have led with that, though. You know what they should lead with? If you want to pitch a tent, do it in your own backyard. And I promise no one will disrupt you. But this is not your yard. This is a publicly funded university where people move about and around and go to and fro, and they don't want to have to maneuver around tents. It's not a trailer park. It's not a housing development. It's a university campus with space where people should be able to move in, be able to feel free to move as they want without having to play, Pac-Man or Mario around your tents because you're supporting a bunch of terrorists.
So I saw on social media some moms who have children at IU or students at IU, and they were very upset because the police formed this line and they advanced on the encampment and they kept pushing forward, and they had their riot shields on, and the protesters were fighting back with open umbrellas.
Were they the penguin?
Yeah. And at the end, the state troopers, they ended up dismantling all the tents, and per IU official requests, because it was against their student code of conduct. But this is what it sounded like. So the IU officials actually requested the assistance of the police to enforce the university's policies. And I did see some parents who were upset, whose children, they go there, and they thought that the police were acting above their responsibility. And no, IU asked them to do that, to dismantle that entire group.
Here's how this works. If you're in public and a law enforcement officer asks you to do something, you do it. And if they're doing something illegal or unethical or otherwise, there are means by which you can resolve that. And if indeed that's the way they're acting, there are mechanisms to figure that out. It's no different than when, take for example, when Lord Travis, high ruler of the town of Brownsburg, weaponized the cop on me at the meeting for no reason whatsoever. The cop said, let's go talk about this outside. We went and talked about it outside, and he said, oh yeah, that's ridiculous. Go back in there and talk again. That's how it works. I didn't fight with the cop. I didn't push back against the cop. I didn't create some barrier of restraint. I went out there, talked with the guy, told him what was going on. He in disbelief said, and then the chief of police came out there with the same level of disbelief and said, yeah, go back in there and talk again. And you know what? I got up at the end and talked, and they were on my side. That's how you handle it. when a person in a position of authority, law enforcement, tells you to do something, you do it. And if you don't like it, there's mechanisms, there's ways, there's procedures by which you can file your grievances and deal with it. But these people are just entitled brats. Indiana University is not your personal housing community. You want to go pitch a tent, do it in the woods, do it on your property. Do it somewhere where you have permission. These people believe they're entitled to stuff. They believe that everything is theirs. They believe that nobody can tell them what to do. Good on the cops. I think, and they try to act like it was like Kent State out there.
Right.
Right. I mean, they tried to act like that they were shooting bullets at these people. They were all apprehended, and no one was, to my reporting that I've seen, injured in any shape, form, or fashion. There's some cool videos of some of those people getting taken down. But good on the cops.
Put them in a jail cell for a few hours without their PlayStation, without their phone, and I bet they'll change their tune pretty quickly.
Can you imagine a law enforcement officer telling you to do something and you feeling so entitled?
So narcissistic that you can do no wrong.
It's just
that you're allowed to be there and do that when clearly, based on IU's rules, you're not allowed to do what you were doing.
It's just simply unbelievable.
Here's a message from Bill Maher to the anti-Israel activists.
Small matters when activism merges with narcissism. Less about the cause and more about me. Look at me. Watch me. And if you like the way I'm fighting injustice, remember to like and subscribe. Maybe from now on, before anyone commits an act of civil disobedience, they should ask themselves a few questions, like, is the most important thing in my life something I hadn't heard of 6 months ago? Do I even know what the I'm talking about? Am I really here for the cause, or is the cause here to bring you me? Why do I care so much about this particular cause?
All things that should be considered.
Yeah, there's no validity to these people. They have no idea what they're doing. And that's why you should give them no credence or respect. Hey, real quick, and I know we don't normally do this, but every so often we want to say hi to our YouTube community, and every so often there are people who just post stupid stuff in our YouTube chat, and we like to make those people famous. Mark listens all the time in the YouTube chat. He's one of those people who clearly has disdain for our show because it's just repetitive, negative stuff. We've talked about this before, right? Like the people who listen all the time, and it's just one negative comment after another, and I have no idea why you would subject yourself to something that you have just clear disdain or hate for. Mark, you count for my bonus the same as everyone else, so I'm glad you're listening. But Mark writes, Rob, you were being an a-hole at that meeting, asking a question at the wrong time. No, it wasn't, Mark, which is why Travis later admitted he screwed up, both to me and to other people, by kicking me out. And that's why the cops sent me back in there to keep talking about it.
You're talking about the meeting in Brownsburg.
Yes! Where I listened to the cop and did what the cop asked me to do. And then when I explained it to the cop and the chief of police, both of them were like, yeah, go back in there, keep talking. No, I wasn't, Mark. And I just always love to point that out, that there are people, Casey, who listen to us every day, 3 hours a day, and they hate us. And I still can't figure that out, why people do that.
It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Was Mark at the meeting? Mark
maybe
must
he saw
know you.
I don't know. All I know is that the cops were like, yeah, you're fine. Go back in there. Keep going. I mean, so either the cops are in it with me. The point of all that was, that's how you deal. When law enforcement approaches you, I was clearly being wronged. They admitted I was being wrong, but you don't bow up against a police officer. You don't push back against a police officer. You go calmly talk about it with them. And then if you're right, 99.5%, you think those cops wanted to be out there, Casey? You think those cops woke up on a weekend and are like, man, I hope we get to go mess with a bunch of these pro-Hamas lunatics? No, they didn't want to be there. Those people were given every opportunity to properly deal with this. They were given every opportunity to obey the orders of the police. None of that would have happened if they'd have just followed university procedure, which is what the police were enforcing. And 99% of the time, if you do, as it was in my case, what the cop tells you to do, and you have a valid point, which I did, they're going to be on your side.
Hey, how about all those tornadoes that happened in Nebraska and Oklahoma over the weekend? Did you see the video?
Oh, it's terrible.
Wow, that looked like something that was out of a movie. Shocking. And that's the thing. These tornadoes have always been happening, but now we have our cell phones with us all the time, and we can actually see it in real time as they're crossing I-80 and everything.
It's horrible.
I can't imagine. You saw probably video of people chasing down those tornadoes and going towards them. I would be heading the other direction.
Look, the tornado chasers, to me, I always go back and forth. Are these people heroes, or are they just totally insane people who need to be locked up?
Are they doing it for science or themselves?
Well, I mean, look, they are able to get and provide very, very, very valuable information a lot of times. And so by that standard, they're heroes. They're far braver than I am. But you're right, Casey. And you and I have talked about this before because you've lived in Florida and you've lived here. And I've lived part of the time, on the East Coast, and I've lived my whole life here. And on the East Coast, you get hurricanes. And by many standards, they're worse than tornadoes because they're stronger, they're bigger, they last longer, but you can prepare for them. 3 days out, hey, that hurricane's coming, and here's where it's likely coming, and you can board up, and you can flee, or you can whatever. And yes, it may, in the end, do more damage, but from a life-saving standpoint, usually have ample time to get out of the area of danger. A tornado, on the other hand...
can pop up rather quickly.
There could be one later today, and you have no idea it's coming until literally minutes before the thing, touches down, and then it's on you before. So it's sort of like this mixed bag of, it's this mixed bag of pick your poison, because either way, you're just get in a whole bunch of trouble. And gosh darn it, man, your heart breaks for those people who lose everything. Obviously, the people who lose lives. I mean, it's just weather is just an amazing thing.
Yeah, there were about 35 different reports of different tornadoes throughout that area. It is 17 after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Life's certainties.
We'll take that. And that's all I had left.
Death. And Indianapolis traffic.
Hey, hon, where are you? Now, sitting on the northeast side, I'm never coming home.
Do less sitting.
I hate traffic.
And do more living.
A long-term ramp closure.
Matt Baird traffic.
Eastbound 465 will be down to one lane. Should reopen
mornings and afternoons.
Lane restrictions on the northeast side.
On 93 WIBC.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577.
Service today?
Today.
When life happens, Michelis happens to help you through it. That includes water, storms, fire, and the whole insurance mess. Working hand in hand with the claims adjuster, Michelis is your advocate, your voice, your local trusted advisor for cleaning up, building back, and moving forward when disaster strikes. Now that is an insurance policy. Make it Michelis. Call 844-FIX-INDY.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
What's up?
I'm tired of feeling so bloated.
That used to be me. Then I got this.
Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion. A probiotic, right?
Yeah, it works naturally with your gut to help soothe occasional bloating and gas. Plus, it has vitamin B12 to aid digestion by helping convert food to cellular energy. 2 benefits, 1 capsule.
Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion from the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand. Learn more at alignprobiotics.com.
Reggie was a nurse for 16 years.
I had become very burnt out. I wasn't making good money.
Then it happened.
There was an ad for My Computer Career, and it just spoke to me.
My Computer Career was the best decision he ever made.
I could study anywhere from my laptop, and I was working in the first couple weeks of me being in class.
Reggie hit a home run.
The field is teeming with jobs.
Become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
The school is amazing.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake kitchen and bath cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show with Rob Kendall and Casey Daniels.
I thought you can see that you're in love with each other.
On 93 WIBC.
You got an angry text, it seems like.
Casey, we have to do an life. I wish Susan was here because this is kind of her wheelhouse. But we got to roll on the fly with this.
Yeah, I'll try to help you as best I can.
Because if you're new to our show, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. My name is Rob Kendall. It's Casey Daniels. Kevin is our producer. I'm a lunatic. And so I tend to...
self-awareness is the first part.
I tend to... I'm the wrong guy to bow up against. I think we figured that out over the years. Don't threaten me with the good time.
You're not going to back down.
Casey is the voice of reason on this show.
I'm the nice one, is what you mean.
And yes. And so a lot of times things will happen in my life that I'm like, is this really happening? And instead of just immediately responding, which I almost just did, I said, Casey, let's just work through this together on the air.
Yeah.
So it is amazing the power that people think that I have, right? I'm a radio broadcaster, okay? I was a politician. I quit being a politician because I didn't want to be a politician anymore. I wanted my life back. You realize, Casey, I think through this in my head. If I had run for state senate in 2016, which I was going to do before I just lost all interest in everything politics, I would be on that governor's stage right now because I would have been a senator for 2 terms and I would be lapping the field with these people. I didn't want that life. I got out of it. I want to come here and have fun with you. I want to talk about your souffle. I want to talk about your chicken pot pie.
You want to go to a Judas Priest concert?
I don't.
Sure.
I want to comment on politics. I want to comment on other things that are of interest to me. But I don't want to be in politics. Okay? And what this show does is it takes my life experiences, Casey's life experiences, and we work through those life experiences to explain to you things that are going on that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Hammer said this the other day. The breakdown we had of the Indy 11 saga was you're not going to hear anywhere else. Why? Because I was in local government. I know how it works. I know how it should work. The breakdown we did of Tony's interview with Ursula Ozdemir this morning. I was in local government. I know how it works. I know the code words. I know when these people say things. And because of that, because people get something from our show that they don't get anywhere else, insight and worldviews, because we also don't like any of these people, right? We don't have any friends. We don't have any favorites.
Well, we're not beholden to them.
Right. We don't care.
Owe them anything.
We don't judge ourselves based on if we are speakers at a dinner or they say nice things about us. We like it when they say mean things about us.
You know, one of the interesting things that I've learned being here is when I first started, you had made a comment, something like, don't get your picture with a politician.
Yeah.
Who are they?
Exactly.
They're there to represent you. They're not a rock star. They're not someone to look up to. They're a paid employee.
All right. I always used, when I go to these, when I used to get invited to all these things, I'd go and watch. People would pay big money to
have their picture photographed with a politician.
And it's what? They should be wanting their photo with you. They need you more than you need them. And so people get mad though, because we're not beholden to anyone. We don't care. We don't care if anyone likes us. Any of these politicians like us. We don't care if they're nice to us. We just simply, they don't care. There's 5 people on this earth that I care if they like me or nice to me. And people running for governor or Congress are not on that list.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting about it is when the politicians do come here into the studio, they're the ones asking us for the picture.
Right.
Because they want to put it on their social media.
And so these people get angry at me when I talk about what's actually going on. And I've long said this, your record is your own. I'm not accountable for your record. One of those clowns running for state senate out in Hendricks County has been bitching about me because we've been talking about how as the sheriff of Hendricks County, he supported massive income tax increases. Brett Clark, that's your deal. Oh, by the way, Brett, when you talk about me to people, it does get back to me because people really like me. So just remember that. But Brett Clark as sheriff supported massive income tax increases. That's not my record. That's yours. Why are you mad at me for your record? Why don't you just own your record and talk about why you supported the tax increases? Braun would not come on this show because we have the audacity to talk about how when Mike Braun was in the Indiana General Assembly, he voted for 40-plus tax increases, including the largest tax increase in the history of the state. That's your record. That's not mine. So my question on all of this is, look, our audience responds to truth. We give them the truth. If you're mad at the truth, fix the truth. Make the truth different. Make your record, your pledge, your whatever different. My point of all this is I got some, and you saw this.
I did.
Unprompted. I don't even think I've talked about this person in, I don't know, a week,
while,
maybe more.
Yeah.
Some just mean-spirited text message from someone running for a very high public office.
The highest, in fact.
Look, I'm not trying to reveal any names here, but did you not read that and go, what the hell is this?
He woke up angry.
And he's mad at me about some things I'm telling the audience.
It away. We said he.
Oh, yeah, we were really narrowing it down.
Yeah, well.
Suzanne, you're out of this one.
Right.
And it's just like, why are you angry at me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie to our audience about what's going on. The same way as I'm not going to lie to our audience about the records of the people who are running. I'm not going to lie to people about the way I see the landscape. If you haven't raised money, if you're more into being an entourage guy than you are getting people out making phone calls and knocking on doors, I'm not going to lie about that. This person has good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we would be disingenuous and we would break the trust of our audience if we just simply refuse to comment on the obvious because we like somebody's political views. It's all how Rokita and I got sideways. I like most of Todd Rokita's political opinions. He behaves like a lunatic a bunch of the time. When he was running for U.S. Senate, he behaved like a madman. As Attorney General, he's done a bunch of stupid things. I'm not going to hide that because I like some guy's political views. My point was, that was totally inappropriate, wasn't it? And that person should know, do not send that to me. Certainly not while I'm broadcasting.
Okay, well, maybe that was the idea. Because this person knows that you get worked up and will talk about it on the radio, he thought this is a good time to send you a little note to see if you'll talk about him.
Are you that desperate for it? That seems like a stretch.
Well, you had mentioned you haven't talked about him in a while.
Is that what they wanted?
Maybe you're falling right into the trap.
I didn't say his name, though.
No, you didn't.
That's true. So I didn't give him what he wanted.
Right. Not completely.
You know what everybody
wants. But I think
wants.
our audience is pretty smart. They can figure it out.
You know what everybody wants?
Kurt Darling.
And the news.
Yeah. He's coming up next. It's 93 WIBC.
Raju, Raju, shades of red, white, and blue. Guarding dreams for all, he believes in you.
Raju Chinthala is a healthcare professional, a successful businessman, and a community leader with experience. Raju is ready to be your next congressman in the 5th District. Raju for you.
Raju, Raju, shades of red, white, and blue.
Raju is a family man ready to represent your family with Hoosier values. And he's a man of action, ready to get things done. Vote for Raju Chinthala, Republican 5th District Congress.
Raju, Raju, shades of red, white, and blue. Guarding dreams for all, he believes in you.
I'm Raju Chintala, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Raju for Congress.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code KEY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code KEY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code KEY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What they want from their schools. Some spotty showers on radar. 64 on Monument Circle. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. At least 900 protesters have been arrested at university campuses all across the country since demonstrations against the Israel-Hamas war started about a week and a half ago. 23 more were arrested on the IU Bloomington campus Saturday at Columbia University.
Those students are not only demanding divestment, they are also demanding universal amnesty.
they don't want to receive any punishment or discipline from the university at all, period, for participating in these protests. The university is asking students to self-identify themselves and attest to following university rules in the future, but even that is not something the protesters seem willing to do.
Fox's Brian Linus. A baby is among at least 5 people killed by a powerful storm system that had a lot of tornadoes across 4 states. The 4-month-old was one of 4 people killed in Oklahoma, including one who died in a sports bar hit by a twister. Here in Indiana, a person is now dead after several weeks after injuries they sustained in the Winchester tornadoes from early last month. I'm Kirk Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Mortgage rates have lowered going into the spring selling season. Now is the time to act to maximize your equity. Mark Dietel has the plan and experience to sell your home fast and for maximum value this spring. Maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but not sure how. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Crystal in Franklin had to say about working with Mark Dietel. I was moving to Kentucky and needed to move fast. I got the Mark Dietel marketing plan and was blown away. The plan worked. I got a full list price offer in the first weekend. Just like that, Mark and his team got it done. Call the agent I trust and recommend and the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel, 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com, markdietel.com. Tell him Rob sent you.
As our loved ones age, ensuring their safety at home becomes a top priority. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. I'll be right back with some practical things you can do to reduce the possibility of a fall or injury.
At Cardon Senior Living Communities, you'll find our teams share a commitment to enhancing the lifestyle and well-being of the people we serve every day at every stage of life.
Removing tripping hazards such as rugs and floor clutter is one way to prevent or minimize falls around the home. Another is to position grab bars in the restroom and other common areas where your loved one may need some extra support. Contact your local area agency on aging to inquire about low-cost or free installation services. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
Are you ready to take control of your safety? Premier Arms is the place to consider, and they're more than just a gun store. Premier Arms is a community for empowered women dedicated to helping you find the perfect firearm. Hey, it's Casey Daniels. That's how I felt when I shopped at Premier Arms. I asked them a lot of questions, and you know what? They treated me with respect. And I know I'll be making another purchase soon. Premier Arms is in Brownsburg. They're also online at premierarms.com. Their number, 317-858-3030.
Bill Frazier is a Hoosier, an American, who has served our citizens with distinction, determination, and a wisdom that comes with years of experience. Now, Bill Frazier is ready to dedicate his life to serving you as your next congressman in Indiana's 6th District. Bill Frazier is a true conservative. He'll fight for a secure border, smaller government, and lower taxes. He will be a tireless advocate for the Second Amendment and the rights of the unborn. Bill Frazier is a veteran paratrooper, a successful farmer and business owner, a licensed commercial jet pilot, a man with experience. When President Ronald Reagan needed expert advice on agricultural issues, he called on a young Hoosier farmer, Bill Frazier. Ronald Reagan trusted Bill Frazier. You can too. Vote for experience and determination. Vote for the true conservative Hoosier. Vote for Bill Frazier for Congress.
I'm Bill Frazier, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Friends of Bill Frazier.
Mother's Day's almost here. Sundown Gardens is fully stocked with high-quality annuals, trees, shrubs, decor, and more. 186th Street and Spring Mill Road, sundowngardens.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatment at 317-559-PAIN.
And this is the part where you contribute with your questions, comments, smart remarks, whatever is on your mind. Just try and keep it clean. Give us less work to do. 317-684-8444. That is the phone number. I mean, we like it when you're involved, but come on. Don't make us do more work to get your hot take on the air. So last week, Rob, you had, I believe it was Friday, you had a real issue. You had a Pepsi issue.
Well, this, in fairness, was not my fault. The long-standing vending machine, it had been replaced once since I've been here, but that vending machine had been there, I believe, since the entire time I worked at WIBC, was, for some reason, vacated from the premises. A giant hole.
Its contract was not renewed.
Yes, just like everyone else in the radio, the vending machine's contract.
It was not invited to show up again.
And so I was without any sort of caffeinated beverage. Had I known that, I would have brought my own, but I was just used to, hey, you in an emergency can always go to the vending machine. And we had broadcast on the air that I was in a crisis point. We had challenged the UN to bring those people with the hard hats in, the human rights, investigators of various, like Amnesty International or someone like that, to, get to the bottom of what's going on here. And then sweet Courtney, one of our fabulous listeners, sent me 4 Pepsis. You will see on the YouTube chat here that I am indeed drinking one of the Pepsis here today.
Thank goodness for Courtney.
And so thank you, Courtney. I still have 2 left. I did hide them in my office over the weekend.
Right.
So that some thieverino
didn't get to them.
Yeah, because
don't get the claws on your Pepsi.
2 floors, I don't know, what do we have, like 93 radio stations now in this little cluster? That there's going to be somebody on the weekend going to their floor and can't find anything on their floor. And then they're going to be moseying down to our floor and seeing that Pepsi, and they're thinking, in their mind, justifying that it's some sort of community Pepsi or something, and stealing my stuff.
Right. Well, thanks to Courtney, who dropped those off for you. And then you had mentioned, if only I had a small fridge to keep them cold in. And then after she had sent you Pepsis, she replied to me and said, I actually do have a small fridge as well. But somebody wanted to call and talk about your Pepsis.
So, Rob, you're talking about Pepsi. So at Tales from the Track, I will give Casey a 12-pack of Pepsis for you because I'm one heck of a nice guy, just to let you know.
Yeah.
And, by the way, love your guys' show, and, man, I am excited about Tales from the Track. Casey, I hope you're there. See ya. Bye.
It's a Hammer and Nigel event, but he's going to give me the Pepsi to give to you, so I have to show up to that.
Thank you so much for that. Now, like you said, Jennifer said she had a mini fridge. Somebody else sent a message and said they had a mini fridge. And here's where I'm at with the mini fridge, Casey.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to make me sound like the worst person
you don't want it now.
In the world. No, I do want it.
Oh, okay.
I just don't want to put any effort into getting it up to my office. And I know this is going to make me sound like the most just lazy person alive.
Give me free stuff, and plus I don't want to work for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at right now. I'd rather just put the Pepsi in the freezer each day and freeze it up to get it cold than have to go through the effort of carrying a mini fridge throughout the sprawling cavernous.
We could just get like a dolly or
that's
a
also
cart
work,
and then put in the elevator.
Nah, it's just work. I've got to meet somebody down at the door, then I've got to make some small talk with them. And then, then I've got to get the thing on the elevator, then I got to push it. I know this is not a good. I know this is not a good look for me, Casey.
It's
but I'm just,
new level of lazy.
I'm being
honest.
I'm being honest about where I'm at in my life.
You just wanted to show up.
I do.
That's what. Just say that then. If somebody else could just do all of the work, that would be great.
We talk about the politicians. The most used phrases, let me be clear. The least used phrases, let me be specific. Let me be specific.
Yeah,
this is specifically what I'm looking for, okay?
Okay. You just want to show up and have it there, stocked.
I need somebody to deliver a mini fridge to 40 Monument Circle. I will if you let me know you're coming, I will let Steven, who's the fabulous front desk guy, know you're coming. I will instruct him to get you into the elevator, and then I will meet you at our office. I will also make sure Casey and Kevin is there if you'd like to meet and greet with them as well.
Oh, now you can wrangle me into work for you.
And then, we can spend a few minutes together chatting, and I'll learn about you and your life and what's going on.
Yeah.
And then you'll have a forever story that you met
This is awful. You know why? I drink Coke. I don't even like Pepsi.
I don't care. You can put in there whatever you want.
Well, you're making me work for your beverage. What do I drink every morning when I come in?
Casey, here's what I'm telling you, is you can use the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
I will let you use my fridge that someone else is donating if you do this meet and greet, because let's face it, that will be the selling point.
You know the reason why I would do the meet and greet for you?
Yeah.
It's to maybe have a better attitude coming out of you.
What?
To make my work environment better.
I'm being specific, and I'm not under a delusion that it's going to happen, but I'm just saying, if somebody were to, I don't know, can you write that off if you, I mean, we're not.
Donate to local radio talent, personality, whatever you're called these days, host. By the way, I drink coffee, which does not require
Well, look at what you
refrigerant.
got. You got the,
And I don't even use it.
What
I
is
bring
that?
my own.
What is that, Kevin? That's some sort of like.
It's like a fancy coffee espresso machine. You put like these little packets in there.
I didn't ask for that. I didn't go on the radio begging for some high-end coffee machine. I bring my own from home.
Yeah, and
You
it's
do?
like it's like the.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, I do too. Yeah, that's normal.
Why? That thing looks like it's like a $500 apparatus.
It's there for an emergency basis for me.
Wow, that's
It's
crazy.
there for the afternoon coffee.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so those are
Those are the
everybody's clear.
rules.
You give me the fridge, you deliver it to our studio. I will arrange the logistics of you to get in the building and get up the stairs, and then Casey and I and Kev will meet and greet with you for an agreed upon amount of time, and then we'll take a photo together, and everybody goes their own way, and everybody is
Everybody
satisfied.
wins.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win-win. Okay, one more phone call. Somebody wanted to call and talk about the graduation ceremonies that have been canceled, like at USC.
Hey, how y'all doing? I was listening to the show, and you guys were talking about the graduation, the kids making, in some campuses not graduating with a ceremony because of the protesters. Man, I am so against that. I am so against that because, what they are wanting to do when you have protesters in the streets, at campuses, in front of wherever, stopping traffic, they are wanting to impact society. And for us to let them do that and to impact kids that had nothing to do with any of the protests or anything like that, and take that especially the graduation, take that opportunity to walk across the stage. You're not talking about this kid. You're talking about some adults that, had to wait maybe 5-10 years to go start their education again or finish their education and they never got to. And let some punks impact that? No, I don't agree at all. And the graduation should go on. Traffic should go on. Everything in society should go on as normal. And if they're in the way, you mow them down. And I don't mean run them over.
Oh.
I mean, you hit them where it hurts, in their pocketbooks, stick them in a jail cell where they can't get a hold of their PlayStations and stuff, and make them suffer for their actions because that's the only way they're going to learn.
Now, you had mentioned that it's got to come from within. It's got to be pressure from their peers.
I think so.
The fellow students. That's the only way.
I think that's where you're going to stop it, right? Because I think anybody else, it's, hey, the man is keeping me down. And I think it's going to take rejection from their classmates saying, stop screwing up things
For everyone else.
For everyone else.
Well, here's something else to consider. Are they going to cancel football games?
Yeah.
No way they would do that. That's where they make a lot of money, right?
Well, and we've talked about this before. The idea that you think you can just stop society, like your thing is so important. If you want to protest, there's plenty of ways you can protest. I've been a part of many, many protests over the years, Casey. You know how many people have been arrested collectively at every protest I've ever been to? Zero.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I affiliate with groups and organizations that do things the right way. They get permits. They obey the laws. They pick up their trash. They don't get mouthy with the cops. If they're asked to do something, they do it. They still get their point across. They still are able to be heard, which is what America is. There's plenty of ways these people could get proper permitting and do all the things. They don't want to do it because they think the rules don't apply to them.
It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC, and Hammer's going to join us next.
Coming up on the Hammer and Nigel show, week number 2 for the Trump criminal trial in New York. Plus, what happened with the Pacers? We start at 3:06 right after the news, 93 WIBC.
LifeChurchIN.com. LifeChurchIN.com. That is the website for Life Church. And man, Life Church has had such a great impact on my life, on my family's life over the past couple of years. And one of the things that I love about Life Church is you just feel like family from the moment you walk in the door. Great service yesterday. And man, so many WIBC listeners over the years have found a home at Life Church because they're warm, they're welcoming. And this coming Sunday, they would love the opportunity to meet and welcome you and your family. Campuses all across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. Awesome online services. Learn more about everything at lifechurchin.com.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first, and then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Mecum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auction company, returns to Indy with Dana Mecum's 37th Original Spring Classic, May 10th through the 18th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. 3,000 muscle cars, Corvettes, exotics, and more. Broadcast on Motor Trend TV and streaming live on Max. From avid collectors to those new to the Mecum experience, we welcome everyone. Register to bid now at mecum.com.
Hey guys, it's Rob for my friends at We Grow Hair Indy. And man, I'll tell you what, every time I look in the mirror, 3.5 years on, I'm still so glad at the choice I made to head over to We Grow Hair Indy. It's, man, I'll tell you what, from a confidence perspective, it has just done so much for me. And We Grow Hair Indy can help you out as well, or at least they're going to look and let you know what they think they can do. We Grow Hair Indy, Darren and the gang, top notch, first class, all the way. And here's what you do. You call them up, 317-522-2995, 317-522-2995, or head over to WeGrowHairIndy.com. Head over to WeGrowHairIndy.com and just say, hey, I want to come in for a totally free consultation. I want you guys to take a look at what I got going on, and then we'll decide how to move forward. It's low pressure. It's no obligation. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And by everything, I mean hair on the top of your head. WeGrowHairIndy.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
On a map, the southern border is 1,000 miles away. But that's not how it feels to my family. I grew up in a blue-collar home in Richmond. My dad was a factory worker. He was laid off twice. Not because the factory was doing poorly, but because it was cheaper to move those jobs across the border. I'm Jameson Carrier. Today, it's not what's leaving across the border that's devastating our families. It's what's coming in. And once again, it's personal. My wife and I lost our son Joey to fentanyl, a tragedy that's become far too common. To President Biden, secure the border is just a talking point. But to our family, it's life and death. I'm Jameson Carrier. I'm a business owner, a native Hoosier, and a Trump Republican. And we can't wait another day to secure our border and put Americans first. I'm Jameson Carrier, and I approve this message.
Jameson Carrier for Congress, paid for by Carrier for Congress, Inc.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Good morning. It is 11 minutes away from 11 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And Hammer joins us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. And I hope everybody's having a better morning than the dude I just shared an elevator with.
So, I love this story because there are some really interesting characters. Like, there's so many things going on in this building now. There's a bank. There's some sort of construction project. There's obviously... Let's face it, we don't know even most of the people that work in our company because there's 2 floors. And
or even the station.
There was somebody on 7. Did you know that they cut us off getting up to 7 now? There was some lady got in the elevator with me today, and very nice. I said, what floor are you going to? And she said 7. And 7 is where the big, higher
Jeff
ups.
Smollian's office is up on 7.
And the whole time I worked here, you go up there and you go.
Not anymore.
And I hit 7 and it didn't work. They've cut us off. Like, they don't want us anywhere near the MS people now. I guess they've just totally separated it. Anyway, you do meet some wacky people on the elevator sometimes.
So I park in the garage that's attached to our building, right? And I ride the elevator up to the 4th floor where we are. And I get in, and then the elevator stops at another floor. And one of those construction guys with like the neon vest and the yellow hard hat, he comes on the elevator. He's bringing a big cart with him.
We have no idea what they're doing. These guys have been constructing something for a very long time, but we have no idea. This could be like a Die Hard plot or something. We have no idea what these guys are actually doing.
So anyway, I'm just making small talk. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Right.
And then he looks at me and he says, I just got hit with a bat. It had a big fang sticking out. A bat flew into me and hit me, and then I smacked it down and stomped it.
Wow.
Reminds me of that clip of Mike Tyson going, I broke my back.
Right.
Spinal.
And I don't know what to say at this point because that's the most awkward small talk I've ever had. So he says, bat with the fangs, I smacked it and I stomped it, to which now my floor is coming up. All right, man. Well,
have a good day.
Have a good one, buddy. Hope it gets better.
I love the phrase bat with the fang because it reminds me of boots with the fur.
Apple bottom jeans, bats with the fangs.
Good luck with your Monday. Wow.
I mean, he was a hell of a nice guy.
He was probably a little startled himself.
And I guess if I had been attacked with said bat with the fangs, I'd probably want to tell somebody too.
Right.
That's just like the most odd small talk I think I've ever had.
And I think it's that, it wasn't like he just was so insistent with the fang. Like you wouldn't know that a bat had a fang.
Well, he wanted to make sure you weren't thinking a baseball bat because that's a totally different attack.
It is downtown Indy.
Hey, you went to the Pacer game Friday.
I did, and I ran into Kev walking out.
Oh, I bet I bet the women were just, the two of you together. Oh,
Nothing
my
but
goodness.
trouble.
Wrestling
That's a
fans, imagine like in their prime, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels.
Oh, my goodness.
Walking out of the ring together.
That's right.
But man, and Kev can back me up here. The field house had some juice this weekend, man. That place was rowdy. It was rocking. 2 wins, and now they got to get the hard one, right? The closeout game is always the hardest, and they're going back to Milwaukee tomorrow for Game 5.
It must have been super exciting. The overtime, everything.
Oh, man. In the past are the games that the Pacers would lose. You've got a guy in Middleton who hits 2 ridiculous three-pointers to, force overtime and what seemingly looked like forced second overtime. And then Halliburton hits a game winner. And then yesterday, Miles Turner he's playing his best basketball as a Pacer. Crowd was chanting his name. Even if you're not a Pacer fan, what's cool about what's happening now is that it's something positive for downtown. Seeing Coach's Tavern and the Tin Roof and the pub, they've all got people in there, and it's
like the old days.
Yeah, and you're 1 win away from having some Pacers and Racers action again.
Here is the thing about the NBA that does bother me a little bit, and maybe this has always been happening, and we're just in the internet age where it's being, sort of amplified. Everybody knows they let these guys get away with murder during the regular season, but there appear to be some pretty blatant traveling calls that are in the middle of the game with people obviously handling the ball in the middle of the floor, that they are just, even Walter Payton, if he were still with us, or Barry Sanders are like, that's a lot of foot movement going on, and they're just not getting called.
Do you want more calls? Do you want more refs? Because that's like saying I want more government.
I want the rules. I want that you can't run with
You're
the basketball.
Such a rule follower.
Like Jim Brown should not be playing in the National Basketball
Big government
Association.
Rob over here. Wants the officials to be more of a story than they already are.
9 steps just seems like a lot for me. I'm willing to reasonable suspension of belief. I'm willing to do it sort of, but when it's 6, 7 steps, guys are running, they're stiff arming, they're giving the Heisman Trophy pose. I think it's a little much.
You don't want the officials to be the story, because we've talked about this before. When you go to a baseball game and you start noticing who the umpire is, there's a problem. Because if you notice who the umpire is, he probably sucks.
But the rules are the rules, right? You can't run with the basketball. Halliburton was blatantly running with the basketball. Now, it worked in our favor, but all these games, there's these clips of these guys. It's like,
is it called fair on both sides?
Well, how would you call that? How do you know?
Okay, so you're saying Halliburton runs with the basketball. Do you think it's made up by somebody just farting around Dame Lillard and putting him on the free throw line? Because that happens too.
Why don't we just enforce all the rules? It's like the border. We don't need new border regulations. If we just enforce the damn border rules, everything will be fine. Same thing with the NBA. Just enforce the rules for everyone.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the TV numbers when the referees call every single touch foul. It's like you're wanting an NFL referee to call holding on every single play. It's there every play. They're not going to call it every single play. Tell me you don't know anything about sports without saying it, Rob.
Holding inside the shoulder pads is not the same as the guy with the basketball in the middle of the floor running, sprinting, Usain bolting with the basketball.
It could be.
It's not the same thing.
Absolutely it is.
God, I hate you.
You hate me because I'm right.
It's coming up this afternoon.
Today is Monday Gun Day. Guy Relford will join us. We'll have the biggest stories of the day, and we're going to have a good time. We got some Grand Prix tickets to give away.
I like that shirt. It's a Bush Light shirt.
Bush Light T-shirt.
You get some nice T-shirts.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hammer. You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
The problem at our border is not complicated. You know that. The real problem is Congress. They say the right thing, but when it comes to it, well, they sell out. Jefferson Shreve takes nothing, owes no one, and can't be bought. Shreve will finish the wall and fund more patrols. And if they came here illegally, he'll send them back. That's Shreve's plan. Common sense, straightforward, do what needs to be done kind of thinking. And Mike Speedy? Yeah, he's the guy posing at the border in his ads, but he paid tuition for illegals with our tax money. And he gave them driver's licenses too. So how can we trust anything he says on immigration or anything else? And he's taken hundreds of thousands from lobbyists, selling out. So if you care about the border, vote for the guy who can't be bought. Law, order, and a secure border. Jefferson Shreve for Congress.
I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Shreve for Congress.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Brett Kitchen, best-selling author, executive producer, and star in a brand new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception. In this film, we traveled over 20,000 miles interviewing real Americans who've retired successfully with a great lifestyle and peace of mind. They share their stories on how they get more retirement income with the same dollars saved, and the money's never at risk if the market crashes. That's right, if the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even the super wealthy are shifting money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money saved, call to talk to a specialist and get a free copy of this brand new movie at 800-486-9595. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you can get it completely free. I'll even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call right now, 1-800-486-9595. That's 1-800-486-9595. Again, that's 1-800-486-9595.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5 a.m. plumbing disasters, finding out why water is pouring from the ceiling, replacing a pipe in a home from the 1800s, then dealing with invoices or your awkward apprentice or that really weird smell, and then there's breathing and eating and, of course, clogs. But the easiest thing on any small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you could save on the business insurance that's right for you. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes, more fallout from the 11 Park fiasco, what the Indy 11 owner is saying. Plus, a person is now dead from the Winchester tornadoes. And this IndyCar driver is now without a ride for the season. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Anti-Israel anger across America. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News on college campuses. That's at UCLA in California, where some fistfights broke out with pro-Israeli demonstrators. Fox's David Spunt is at a
Gaza Solidarity Encampment at George Washington University in D.C.
Speaking to some of the people out here that are in these tents, they've been here for several days. They say they have no signs of leaving. The Metropolitan Police Department was called out here several days ago, but has yet to physically remove anyone, concerned about some of the optics of removing, because at this point, this has been a non-violent protest.
There have been hundreds of arrests nationwide. The U.S. is trying to stop the war in Gaza. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in Saudi Arabia before another trip to Israel for talks.
The only thing standing between the people of Gaza and a ceasefire is Hamas.
Now, he's warning Israel not to go ahead with a ground invasion in Rafah, fearing a humanitarian catastrophe in an area filled with civilians. Israeli airstrikes overnight there killed 22 Palestinians. There's a lot of heartache amid all the tornado devastation in the Midwest. Homes and businesses twisted apart.
Devastated.
Tears. It was our livelihood, retirement.
There in Sulphur, Oklahoma, 4 people were killed in that state. NATO's leaders gone to Ukraine, where Jens Stoltenberg says countries have been too slow to help.
The lack of ammunition has enabled the Russians to push forward along the front line. Lack of air defense has made it possible for more Russian missiles to hit their targets.
And Ukraine's army chief says it's getting worse, that they've had to pull their forces back with Russian advancement in 3 villages in eastern Ukraine. The Supreme Court has dismissed a COVID-era case. A military chaplain's challenge to the U.S. government, rejecting their religious objections to COVID vaccines. Now, that Pentagon vaccine mandate has since been rescinded. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He still wants to work with the city. Spotty showers on radar, 65 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Indy 11 owner Erzal Ozdemir says that he's not sure why Indy Mayor Joe Hogsett is going a different direction in bringing Major League Soccer to the Circle City. He says it was his understanding that they had a plan.
I have done this on my own privately for almost 10 years. To do it right way, you need local ownership group.
He told WIBC's Tony Katz that he has his own ownership group for Indy 11 coming together with the contingency that they build 11 Park, which he says they are ready to build now. A person hurt when the Winchester tornadoes moved through in mid-March has died. Up till now, one person has now been killed because of those tornadoes, which not only hit Winchester, but also Selma in Delaware County. 23 people were arrested on IU's campus in Bloomington for protesting, once again violating encampment rules on Dunn Meadow, and state police were called in to deal with it. State Rep Matt Pierce of Bloomington outraged with IU leaders.
They apparently have no understanding of how you deal with students and faculty when they're protesting on campus. You talk to them, you have a dialogue.
IU President Pam Whitten shared concerns over anti-Semitism being spread by the protests. All 92 counties in Indiana will be getting more money from the state through what is called the READY program. John Herrick with more.
$45 million will be going to the central Indiana region for places like Boone, Hamilton, Marion, and Johnson counties. State Representative Peggy Mayfield of Martinsville believes central Indiana is the fastest growing region in the state, and the READY 2.0 program helps them build on that.
Whether it's addressing housing needs or expanding outdoor recreation opportunities, I look forward to our area benefiting from these investments in the short and long term.
Other areas in the state are getting similar amounts of money. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
IndyCar driver David Malukas is now without a ride for the season. Malukas was released by Arrow McLaren this morning. He was hurt in a mountain biking accident before the season and needed surgery on his wrist. His recovery has taken longer than expected. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Attention investors, there's a major real estate correction happening. I'm investing in it, and you should too. My name's Grant Cardone, CEO of Cardone Capital, where we manage $4 billion of institutional quality real estate and partner with regular, everyday investors just like yourself. You get all the benefits of great real estate without any of the headaches. I find the deal, negotiate it, buy it, improve it, collect the rents, and on the 15th, distribute cash flow to our investors. We have a proven model distributing over $300 million to our 13,000 investors. At Cardone Capital, we target 12 to 15% IRR, 6% cash flow, and we buy the best markets, best locations, below replacement costs, and cash flow positive at close. To see if you qualify, go to CardoneCapital.com. That's CardoneCapital.com to see if you qualify.
Individual results may vary. There's no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Invest wisely. See full disclosure at CardoneCapital.com.
This hour on WIBC is powered by Miss M's Home and Garden, Johnson County Spring Nursery Headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
It is Monday, April 29th. It's 5 minutes after 11. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So we're a month away from the Indy 500, and the IndyCar has made an announcement.
Oh.
No political branding on any vehicles at the 500.
Oh, that's so interesting.
This after it's being reported that there was a request put in by Trump and also RFK Jr.
Yeah, so basically what they have said, and it's pretty hard to blame them, that they've looked, so we're not wading into this. We want to be we want the sport itself
to be the focus.
To be the focus and be the reason the sport itself lives or dies. And, if we're going to talk about this in the sense of, these other media organizations or entertainment organizations or professional sports teams taking a knee or whatever, then we got to kind of be consistent on this and say that's probably a good thing even when it's our guy. And I'm sure, because clearly it became pretty clear that Trump and RFK wanted to advertise. It's the world's single largest sporting it's the world's largest single-day sporting event. Try to say that 9 times fast. The world's largest single-day sporting event. Naturally, you've got hundreds of thousands of people in the track itself. It is broadcast all over the world. On the radio broadcast, you've got them saying the names of the car. The Donald Trump car,
right?
Run by so-and-so. And so if you're, one of these campaigns, it's kind of probably some good value and good exposure. But I kind of see where IndyCar's coming with this and putting the kibosh on it right out of the gate. I'm kind of for that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so Racer reported this. They said that all the requests were denied and that IndyCar does not approve sponsorships associated with elected officials, candidates for political office, or even political action committees. So not even PACs. Nobody can do anything. But can you imagine if you're at the track, think about this scenario. You're in the grandstands and all of a sudden the Trump car goes whizzing by. All of the possibly Trump flags or American flags at all. Yeah, Trump car. And then being that we're in red Indiana and then Biden car drives by, boo, I could see it. And the potential for civil unrest to take place as opposing sides express their opinions.
And IndyCar probably made a decision, and rightfully so, and I don't know exactly how the whole financial aspect works. We could probably have some people on. By the way, we got to get Mark Janes back on, our friend, the voice of the Indy 500. We're getting into that season. We always have him on before the 500. But where they probably say, look, whatever money a team is going to make is going to pale in comparison, because let's face it, it's probably going to be a lower level team that is going to need to engage in seeking political candidates. Some person who's desperately trying to get in the 500, they're going to be a back-end car. And the 500 is probably, an IndyCar as a collective is probably just saying, look, whatever money you're going to get, that don't really help us at all. And, it's probably not a front runner. It's not Dixon that's going to be doing this. And so they probably said, we are not dealing with this drama. And like I said, I support this 100%. It's your organization. Keep all the politics out of it.
Right.
Do it for both sides.
Let's just enjoy racing.
Let the race be the race.
Yeah. So last year, the race drew over 300,000 fans, expected to be just as much this year. So I agree with you. I think it's a smart move. Don't put anybody's security at risk. I mean, it's already a major event to keep secure and to keep everybody safe. And then if you've got tempers flaring and, you're on different sides of the aisle, that's just a recipe for disaster. So it's probably a smart move.
This isn't our rainbows segment, but let's talk about something good for a second, though, which is that IndyCar, and this is totally credit to, the people who run that organization. It's a credit to Penske. It's a credit to Doug Bowles. It's a credit to all of those people. To come out of that dark era of IndyCar, where you're not even sure, is this going to last? Is this going to exist? And even beyond the split, I mean, it took, a decade and a half or more. They totally not only revitalized the Indy 500, you could make a compelling case that you are entering a new golden era of the Indy 500 when you couple in, it's always a great race and people went for the racing, but when what they've, kind of made the whole week of the 500 and the carb day and all of these things and the improvements to the motor speedway and quite frankly, the improvements to the city or the town of Speedway itself, it's really, those guys deserve a ton of credit because they have brought the thing back. And I'll tell you what this kind of gives me hope for is, obviously I'm a golf fan and I see golf is in a dark place right now because of this LIV PGA Tour split, and you just simply every week don't have some of the best players in the world competing against each other, and the LIV Tour is a joke. I mean, it's like party central, and so those guys are just there for the guaranteed payout for the most part, and then you got the PGA guys who it's a fraction of the talent they were competing against. It gives me hope that hopefully, much like with IndyCar, that the thing can eventually come back together, and maybe out of that comes a new golden era for golf. IndyCar's done awesome.
It's very rare when somebody says, hey, we're going to be stronger and better than ever, that they actually do it. So when was it that Penske bought it? Was it 2018, 2019? And then right after that, COVID.
Yeah.
And he had to have been questioning his investment at that point. Like, did I make the right decision here?
Do you have the list of things that they said they're banning again? I realize I'm hitting you with that. You just gave a list, right, of things that they like. It's PAX. It's these different things that they're putting the ban on. Because somebody in our YouTube chat asked a good question, and I just wondered if they covered that under the listing, and if you have that.
So this comes from an IndyCar spokesperson, and they said IndyCar does not approve sponsorships associated with elected officials. Candidates for political office or PACs, political action committees.
So this is probably covered on that because Jim in the YouTube chat, I thought this was a fair question. What about like something like right to life, pro-choice, breast cancer awareness, men's health care? So like where does that kind of stop? Well, it sounds like if there is in any way a political affiliation with that. So like right to life, I think has a political action arm to them, so it would probably be covered under that. The pro-abortion groups, it's a political action arm, so that would probably be covered under that in terms of the ban.
It sounds to me like IndyCar just wants to stay clear of politics.
Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting.
Just focus on racing.
Where does it go? Where on the other hand, like breast cancer awareness is not a political action thing, or men's health care, prostate, get your prostate checked, whatever. That's not a political action.
Oh, give them time, Rob.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's got to be some common sense applied to this. So I just thought that was a good question.
All right, and let's do the other popular sport in town.
All right, ready to do this? Yes, I am. All right, 2, 3, 4. Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Basketball, gimme the ball because
it's our basketball theme. Okay, so the Pacers just announced that they are going to head to Paris for 2 regular season games in January of 25. They're going to play the San Antonio Spurs.
Well, that's a big deal. Well, first of all, let's get something out here and make it very clear. He Went to Paris, one of the best Jimmy Buffett songs, highly underrated. You put that on our Mount Rushmore of Jimmy Buffett songs. Everybody go out and listen to that. Wait till noon. We don't care what you do during Cat's show. But the fact is that's a big deal that the Pacers, because they're playing the Spurs. The Spurs have Victor Wembanyama, who is sort of he was obviously the number 1 pick. He's this giant of a man from France, going to be rookie of the year, kind of they're hoping to make him the new face of the NBA now that LeBron and Steph Curry and those guys are kind of phasing out a little bit. And so it's a big deal that they said, hey, we're taking the guy with the star power, which is obviously he's from France, which is why they're taking him. But we're going to put the Pacers, because there is, I'm guessing in part because they have some sort of universal sort of appeal. Now, Siakam, I think, is French too, isn't he? Is that right? Anyway, you filibuster for a second.
Well, yeah, they say the reason that they're going there is because of their global popularity. Now, these games are going to take place on Thursday, January 23rd, and also Saturday, January 25th. And if you go to NBAexperiences.com, you get the official NBA Experience package. Now, this includes tickets to the game, premium hospitality, VIP events, hotel accommodations, and more. I should really click on it to see how much that costs. But that's quite an experience to go across the pond, go to Paris to see the Pacers play.
I have no idea why I thought in my mind Pascal Siakam might be French. He's Cameroon, so negate that. But clearly they want to draw. They're not going to put one of the worst teams in the league over there. They're trying to create some sort of marquee matchup. It's not like how the National Football League does things where it's like we're going to pick 2 turd teams and send them over there because we'll sell out a stadium no matter who it is. The NBA is trying to market itself on a global scale, and so that really is, hey, look at this, Casey, 2 positive stories in one segment. We didn't even do the rainbow
There's
theme.
many levels, by the way, which you can purchase. You can do the Hall of Fame level, which includes an NBA Legends dinner, your hospitality, your on-court photo. And then it goes down to a legend level, an MVP level, a playmaker, a sophomore, and then your rookie level.
Playmaker.
Right.
We're going to make you feel bad about buying these tickets and let you in at the rookie level.
Now, when Hammer was in here earlier, he was talking about how he went to Friday's game, which was that overtime game, and I thought this was kind of fun. They had Miles Turner mic'd up during that game, so you could hear everything that he was saying to his teammates, cheering when he was on the bench, even when he was on the court. And this is his reaction during that thrilling overtime win against the Bucks in Game 3.
Stay locked in. You're in a good zone right now. Stay locked in. That's what it's about right now, man. Come on. Come on.
We're winning the game right now.
Facts. Come on.
We're winning the game right
Come
now.
on. Come on. Time.
It's kind of like when you can hear the quarterback during a football game, hear him making his calls.
He was very excited they won that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, can you
I wouldn't have
blame him?
expected that from him.
It improved his play, apparently.
Kudos
the
on
next
him not
game.
using any bad language.
I know. I was nervous there, but we didn't have to edit that at all. And one last basketball tidbit that we've got to share with you, and that is that Caitlin Clark was practicing training day, the camp on Sunday, and this is what she had to say about that.
Got a few workouts under my belt. I think that definitely helped. So not coming into training camp completely blind, and it was a good first day. It was hard, but that's what you expect for these practices, and just fun to get out there with all the girls and get ready for Friday, honestly.
I wonder.
Your season starts really fast.
Yeah, it does. And I was thinking about this. She's doing the training camp this weekend and still has to go back to Iowa and graduate from that. I wonder if she's purchased her white dress that she
I got a
wear.
feeling, we get
she's going to skip that.
We get tickets to all these things like that they'll put out in a lottery. Mm-hmm. By the way, can we say what week sauce, and we love Dion, our big boss, but can we say what week sauce it was that he picked the Pacers ticket giveaway at the staff meeting based on your birthday? Like whose birthday is closest to this day, which is how Kevin won the tickets.
Yeah, right. I lucked
out. I mean, let's face it, we had no chance.
No chance.
I mean, it wasn't some sort of lethal lottery or, whatever.
Yeah.
I just think Dion could really make it up to us based on, if you have a birthday, say, in December, you're automatically entered to the Caitlin Clark first game ticket giveaway.
Or maybe the Pacers game in Paris.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
Would be,
that would also be fine.
I'll be entered in that drawing.
I'll compete for that.
All right. It's Kendall Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Like magic, it appears in the sky. A rainbow. Somewhere over that rainbow lurks not bluebirds or dreams. Hidden behind that beauty is trouble.
Get a cone tornado right there.
Don't be fooled.
Tornado on the ground. Confirmed tornado on the ground. Confirmed tornadoes. Oh my gosh, look at it. Oh my gosh.
This spring, depend on your severe weather station.
Baseball size hail.
93 WIBC.
Show Mom just how much you love and respect her with fresh flowers from Gillespie Florists. Mom will smile for all to see when she receives your beautiful and fragrant bouquet from Gillespie Florists. Hundreds of styles to choose from, or let the mom pleasers at Gillespie help you decide. Easily make this Mother's Day memorable. Click on GillespieFlorist.com right now to place your order. Visit Gillespie Florists at 10th and Raceway, online at GillespieFlorist.com, or call 273-1100. Gillespie Florists, for all the flowers in your life.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go.
The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
What's up? I'm tired of feeling so bloated. That used to be me. Then I got this. Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion. A probiotic, right? Yeah, it works naturally with your gut to help soothe occasional bloating and gas. Plus, it has vitamin B12 to aid digestion by helping convert food to cellular energy. 2 benefits, 1 capsule.
Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion from the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand. Learn more at alignprobiotics.com.
Building a better future for Hoosiers is going to take an outsider. Brad Chambers is the only candidate for governor who's not a career politician. And only Brad Chambers built a national business from nothing. As Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers broke records for job growth all across the state. Jobs with wages higher than ever before. Because of Brad Chambers, higher wages are on the way. And only Brad Chambers can keep them coming.
Paid for by Chambers for Indiana.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself.
He was impressive.
Yeah.
Young and aggressive.
Well, there's that Jimmy Buffett
Saving
song.
the world on his
By far the best Jimmy Buffett song is not even close.
Better than Son of a Sailor?
Totally.
You think so?
All the stuff going on, and he went to Paris. You know me, Casey.
Yeah.
If a character is not getting his heart ripped out and held in front of his face, it's just not for me.
It's just not a good song.
If there's not some
You like the Lover's Lament, huh?
horrifically depressing thing that happens, some person getting the boot of life stamped right on their head.
See, that's why we're such a good team together, because you like Lover's Lament and I like them peppy, snappy, something fun. Hey, let's talk about the guy who achieved a goal. It only took him 4 years to do it.
How exciting.
And that is Eric Holcomb. It's Kendall and Casey, by the way.
The governor.
On 93 WIBC. So Eric Holcomb, your governor, your current governor, he celebrated Arbor Day on Friday by planting his millionth tree.
How many?
His millionth tree.
Wow, so he's planted one tree for every person he's totally screwed over in this state, Casey. That's amazing.
He set a goal back in 2020 to plant 1 million trees in 5 years, and he achieved that. He planted a cucumber magnolia on the lawn of the State House.
Think about, okay, so this is your governor, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why a huge portion of Democrats in 2020 crossed over to vote for this guy. There were tons of Biden Holcomb voters. You saw the signs everywhere that totally offset all the Republicans who went over to vote for rainwater, because Holcomb's priorities are these big lefty priorities. I mean, think about his goal in 5 years wasn't like, hey, we're going to fix out of control property taxes, or we're going to get the gas tax, totally under control, or we're going to rein in out of control state spending, or we're going to hold a steady budget like Mitch Daniels has done with tuition at Purdue. His deal was, I'm going to plant a bunch of trees, and that's going to be my... Sure, you can't afford to live in a home that has that tree, but you're going to have a lot of trees to look at as you're forced to walk on the street.
So they planted red and white oaks, swampy chestnuts, and also black walnuts. And he said, with 1 million trees now dotting Indiana's landscape, we can preserve this love for our great outdoors for future generations of Hoosiers. Now, I don't have a problem with the trees.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. You want to plant 1 million trees across the great state of
Indiana.
Wait. I applaud that.
Time out, though.
But
he didn't plant 1 million trees.
Well, no, he didn't do it. But
he's not Johnny Appleseed over here.
Yeah, the DNR did it. And that's fine. That's great. I appreciate that. And this is where the but comes in. But he could have coupled that with, as you said, fixing property taxes,
yes,
or lowering the gas tax.
But they're not priorities to him. I mean, look, it's just a broken record. The Holcomb is campaigning again this year through Brad Chambers. And I was told yesterday by a very reliable source, very, very, and when I do this, it's, tack it on the bulletin board. A very reliable source. Holcomb desperately wanted to endorse Brad Chambers, but the polling is so bad that there's no chance Chambers is going to win, and Holcomb was not going to go out seen as a loser.
He's not going down that way.
That's why
he's worried about his legacy. Did you see the big Jamie Rittenauer sign that's on Rockville Road?
Oh, how exciting.
There's a huge one. The dude and I got in a big conversation yesterday about who he was voting for, and he gave me his opinions.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? Maybe towards the end of the week, as we're just a week away from the primary, I'll give you my endorsement.
You know, my theory, Casey, is I used to early vote, and then I realized if I don't early vote, then I can keep wasting rich Republican money all the way until Election Day because they've got a list. Like once you vote, they knock you off and they stop sending you the mailers.
Right.
And my goal, since these people are going to screw me for the next 4 years, is to make them waste as much rich Republican money as I possibly can. So I wait until like 5 o'clock on Election Day to go vote.
All right, let's do this.
Tired of hearing Rob talk about all the bad news? Time to find your happy place. Turn that frown upside down. It's time for Rainbows with Rob.
This is the part of the show.
Yeah.
Actually, we've done this many times this hour already.
We're so positive today on a Monday. It's great.
Where we find something positive and we talk about it. And today we have to showcase the Indianapolis Star, Indy Star.
What?
Because they have done something worth talking about. And look, we have said, we had Caitlin Lang on our show on Friday.
She did a great job.
There's a lot of reporters at Indy Star who still do phenomenal work. Caitlin's one of them, and when they want to get to the bottom of stuff, they have the people out there that can do it.
Wasn't it the Indy Star that broke the Larry Nassar
story?
Sure,
there's a whole bunch of stuff Star's done, even in recent history, where when they put their mind to it, that Brad Chambers piece that Caitlin did on him not paying those loans back, or his company not paying those loans back, was great. Now they get squirrely because they make people like Greg Doyle the face of the newspaper, and it really does a disservice to the good reporters over there who are doing good work. But they did something, and here's where we're at in our society where I have to give them credit for. They actually said my name this time in one of their pieces.
You're not just a local radio host. They actually knew your name.
So they were doing a preview on the 7th congressional district candidates. That's obviously, they've carved up a congressional district that is just Marion County, and Andre Carson is running for re-election. He has a nominal primary challenge. And then the thing most people are paying attention to is how bizarro the Republican side is, because this guy Gabe Whitley is running on the on the Republican side. And last time Indy Star did a piece on him. Now, you may remember the Indiana Capital Chronicle did a big expose, how there's these donors that he claims. He claims he's raised all this money. Nobody can find the donors. They couldn't find the donors. My wife filed a complaint with the Indiana Election Division as well as the Federal Election Commission. And then Indy Star came out with a piece on Honest Gabe. He calls himself Honest Gabe. That's his name for himself. That he claimed to be endorsed by this veterans organization that nobody could find.
Right.
And it's always the same thing with him. You can't get a straight answer, and somebody else is to blame. And so they did this very fabulous piece about this veterans organization that they couldn't locate, and they desperately tried and went through all the stuff. But when they had mentioned me last time in their story on Gabe, I think they had referred to me as something like a local radio show host.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on,
Everybody
Indy Star.
knows who you're talking
Everybody
about.
know. I mean, we're kind of on the same level. Indy Star is the paper of record. We're the radio station of record. And then, no offense if you're the Greenfield community radio station, but we're kind of, it's worthy of saying who the person is. And this time, they did a little expose on everybody running for the 7th Congressional District.
Yeah, and they did a write-up of all of the challenges that Honest Gabe is facing.
Should I read part of their write-up on?
Yeah.
This is okay.
If you want.
This guy, legitimately though, and he has competition, but there's a chance he could be the Republican nominee for Congress. And there's part of me that kind of wants him to be the nominee for Congress, because the longer he's out there, the more people are going to look into him and all the crap he's potentially pulled. I do worry if he loses, which he probably will, but if he loses, then people will just lose interest in him. And the investigations and the reporting needs certainly to continue. Should we read?
I'm reading my favorite line, I think, in the whole article. It's not about you, Rob.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But it says, Gabe told Indy Star via email that he decided to run for Congress since Republicans asked him to. Because of his experience working on congressional campaigns. Like, he was forced into it. I don't want to do this. But they need me.
Here's the write-up from Indy Star. I'm just going to read it verbatim.
Okay.
During Whitley's run for Evansville mayor in 2022, WIBC host Rob Kendall sued him for allegedly calling him a pedophile. After he dropped his campaign in early 2023, the Evansville Courier and Press reported he had raised thousands from donors who said they'd never heard of him. This year, in Whitley's run for Congress, Kendall's wife filed complaints with the Federal Election Commission alleging excessive campaign contributions and fraudulent donors. And prominent veterans advocates have accused Whitley of concocting a fictional veterans organization to pledge an endorsement.
He's only doing it because he was asked to. He doesn't want to do this. They're making him.
And my favorite part of all of this is the Marion County GOP, which is maybe the most inept organization in the entire state, has said nothing. Like, this guy could win. He could be your nominee for Congress, and you are stuck with him. And this guy could potentially drag everybody else on the rest of the ticket across the state down. And the state party, too, is just super silent about it.
He's in my district, so I actually get to vote on this race.
Has he earned your vote?
No. I'm going to say no. All right, you feel good? Your name is in the paper?
I wanted to give Indy Star credit. They actually wrote my name down this time.
All right, we got to get to the news. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Urging them to accept it. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is urging Hamas to accept Israel's latest proposal for a ceasefire deal that includes the release of hostages. While in Saudi Arabia today, Blinken called the deal extraordinarily generous on the part of Israel and called on the militant group to quickly accept it.
The quickest way to bring this to an end is to get to a ceasefire and the release of hostages.
This as Hamas negotiators are meeting Qatari and Egyptian mediators in Cairo to discuss the proposal. A group of House Democrats is calling on Columbia University leaders to end the ongoing pro-Palestinian encampment on the campus. In the letter, the group of 21 Democrats tell the board to end the encampment or step down. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
What people suffering from nasal breathing, snoring, and sleep apnea problems want is for their issues to be fixed. And at Advent, that is precisely what we do. Here, there are no Band-Aids, but there is a thorough approach to get to the root of your problem. And in tens of thousands of cases, finding simple solutions, which are undeniably effective, have made remarkably positive impacts on people's lives. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. For years, patients have been traveling literally from around the world to come to us to find what no one else has been able to give them. And that's why now we've come closer to you.
If your quality of life has been diminished because of nasal breathing, snoring, or sleep apnea problems, and you don't know who to turn to, go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
On a map, the southern border is 1,000 miles away, but that's not how it feels to my family. I grew up in a blue-collar home in Richmond. My dad was a factory worker. He was laid off twice, not because the factory was doing poorly, but because it was cheaper to move those jobs across the border. I'm Jameson Carrier. Today, it's not what's leaving across the border that's devastating our families, it's what's coming in. And once again, it's personal. My wife and I lost our son Joey to fentanyl, a tragedy that's become far too common. To President Biden, secure the border is just a talking point. But to our family, it's life and death. I'm Jameson Carrier. I'm a business owner, a native Hoosier, and a Trump Republican. And we can't wait another day to secure our border and put Americans first. I'm Jameson Carrier, and I approve this message.
Jameson Carrier for Congress. Paid for by Carrier for Congress, Inc.
Guys, let's talk game.
Practice just wrapped up with the annual spring game. Your team looks promising this fall, but how's your game? Testosterone therapy can help you get back to your best, and spring is the time to start. We recommend Low T Center.
They make it quick and easy. Walk in, take a simple blood test, and get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you feel tired, if you've seen weight gain, loss of muscle mass, could be low T. And lowtcenter.com is the place where you book your appointment. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Mecum Auctions, the world's largest collector car auction company, returns to Indy with Dana Mecum's 37th Original Spring Classic, May 10th through the 18th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. 3,000 muscle cars, Corvettes, exotics, and more. Broadcast on Motor Trend TV and streaming live on Max. From avid collectors to those new to the Mecum experience, we welcome everyone. Register to bid now at Mecum.com.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Mother's Day is almost here. Miss M's Home and Garden is fully stocked with high-quality annuals, trees, shrubs, decor, and more. State Road 135 in Bargersville.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Well, you could put a fork in her because her VP hopes have been dashed. I believe she is done. It is 11:36 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. We're talking about South Dakota Governor Christi Noem. She now has just a 4% chance of being Donald Trump's VP.
No, she got no chance, Casey.
This after she admitted to killing her dog while her kids were at school. This was a 14-month-old dog, a puppy,
Yeah,
many
okay.
would say.
Okay, so let's give a little background on this. Christi Noem is the governor.
Yeah.
Is it South Dakota? That's
South
right.
Dakota.
South Dakota. I always get the two Dakotas confused. And she's been this rising star for a while. She's very well assembled and she's very conservative. And a lot of people have she was kind of a pro individual liberty during COVID and kind of seen, she's obviously a woman, which Trump has some issues with, and it's kind of been seen as one of the front runners. Well, she puts this book out. I don't know, is it out yet, or it's coming out, or it is out? Anyway, she tells this story in this book, and clearly she did it to sell books. And this is the danger you run into when let's face it, anymore, you got to just shock people to get them to buy a book, right? Because you got to give them a reason to have you on the TV, have you on the circuits, have you on the radio shows, things that you want people to talk about, earned media like we're getting right now, where she gets this dog, and I'm summarizing this here. It's much longer than this, but basically the gist of it is this dog's violent, it's biting, it's out of control. And her response to it was to shoot the dog.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't something necessarily that a lot of people haven't done, right? I mean, unfortunately, if an animal is totally out of control and a shelter won't take it, or somebody can't rehome it, or what choice do you have? You can't let it around your family. These things have happened before. However, to put it in a book, I mean, that's political suicide, because every conversation about her, and Tony said that this morning, and he's right. If she's the pick, every conversation with her is about killing the dog. Trump isn't even on the front and center, which that pissed him off more than the fact that he can't get his policies out there.
Right.
He wouldn't be the story. She would.
Right.
And so there's no way, if she wanted to be, I can't imagine she even wanted to be vice president. There's no way she's that stupid to think she could put this story in the book and think that's not going to come back and bite her in the ass.
Well, she was polling at 10% before the story came out, and now she's down to 4%, and she's clearly doing damage control now because she's saying, hey, I followed the South Dakota state law. This dog was attacking, killing livestock. It was aggressive, so I put it down. I think it's the manner in which she put the dog down that is shocking to most people.
Yeah, and again, like you said, I'm not saying she did anything illegal or anything like that. But the political world isn't the legal world. And the political world becomes that Christi Noem is going to be this hotshot governor from South Dakota who shot her dog. I mean, look at what Romney went through, the thing where he put the dog on the roof. You can't have that. Trump is crazy enough and Trump is volatile enough. He's got to have somebody who is not a newsmaker, who can simply help relay his message. It's why someone like a Tim Scott is probably one of the leaders in the clubhouse, because Tim Scott is as pure as the wind-driven snow, and he's not going to make any headlines, and he's going to go out and articulate the message. And, you know, demographically, obviously, he probably helps check a box that Trump maybe feels he has an opportunity to score with black voters, and Scott can help him do that. But, I mean, for Noem, look, I mean, maybe just she doesn't want to be it. Maybe I just find it, I'm sort of the same place with her that I am with the Ursula Ozdemir stuff, where it's like, there's no way Ursula Ozdemir didn't have, you know, until this morning, I thought there's no way he doesn't have an agreement with the city. There's no way he would have gone forward with that. And then I walked out of the interview with Tony going, I don't think he does have an agreement with the city. And it's sort of like the same thing with her, where it's like, there's no way if she wanted to be vice president, she'd be stupid enough to put this story in the book. But maybe she was.
She did.
Right.
Okay, so she's saying that it was an effort to show people that she was capable of dealing with difficult, messy, and ugly situations.
You're a governor. Don't you have enough governor stories? You were a governor during COVID.
You have to pick the dog story.
You were one of the leaders of liberty and freedom during COVID. Isn't that enough to write about?
Well, now you've got Tim Scott in the lead at 22%, followed by Elise Stefanik at 9%, J.D. Vance 6%, Nikki Haley 6%, Ben Carson 5%, Marco Rubio at 5%, and then Christi Noem at 4%.
Look, if we're in the box checking game, and that box checking game is number one with Vice President, do no harm. That's the number one thing. Number two is be able to articulate the message of the candidate at the top of the ticket. And number three, perhaps help you with demographics or state. Tim Scott checks all three of those boxes. He's clearly not going to be, you know, have personal bad headlines. He's great at relaying Trump's message and being a loyal messenger. And again, while South Carolina is not a state that's in doubt, he's obviously, as Trump is clearly going to make a play for African Americans, specifically African American men, which shows he's made big inroads with. Tim Scott's a guy he can put up there and put out there and say, look at what you can do. Look at, if you believe in our message of liberty and freedom and believing in yourself and holding yourself accountable, look at what the opportunity is here versus what the Democrats have given you. Tim Scott looks on paper to be a great choice.
Isn't it amazing, though, that Christi Noem is this, you know, rising star within the, you know, political system on the right, and then this one story is the one that could take her down.
But she had to know. There's no way she's that.
Well, she just did that infomercial on the teeth, the dentist thing.
Well,
that was a little weird, too. That was a little outside the box.
I think these people see a payday. Like, I think there's just so many of these politicians now who see politics as a payday or an access to a payday. And I think they just, I mean, that's the only logical explanation, because that story doesn't, other than help you get the book talked about. Let's face it, we're not talking about her book if that story's not in the book.
Yeah.
I just don't see what the upside on that would be, other than I'm trying to sell a book.
She has to know that there's so many pet lovers in the country who aren't going to see that as the way to handle that situation.
And again, it doesn't mean she did anything illegal. We're not saying that, but it's what affects you, doesn't affect you legally, can certainly affect you politically. And those two worlds often, you know, while they're separate, you can get harmed in one and not the other.
Right. So we started off the show talking about how well you've aged, Rob, and how you look the same age as you did 20 years ago.
Yes. If you'd like to see that photo of me, a photo from me 17 years ago to today, you can go to @RobMKendall on Twitter, and it's shocking how well I've done, Casey.
Okay, so now what is old? What age is considered old?
Yeah.
We're going to share that with you.
It's not 53, I'll tell you that.
It's not. And some telltale signs that maybe you're getting old. That's coming up. It's 93 WIBC.
Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping around my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, IU and the protesters. Exactly how should the Indiana State Police handle things? After the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Politicians who tell you what you want to hear and do the exact opposite. Nothing new there, right? Well, this is one for the record books. I'm sure you've seen his ads. See if you can guess who this is. He was an original Never Trumper, on the board of the campaign that opposed Donald Trump from the beginning. Sponsored a bill to restrict guns and gear from police departments. Talk about defund the police. Even voted to pay tuition for illegals with our tax dollars. And gave them driver's licenses too. Oh, and he raised taxes 20 times and doubled state spending. Who is this big budget liberal, you ask? It's Republican Mike Speedy. So don't be fooled by those ads. Know the real record before you vote. Mike Speedy's liberal record.
I'm Jefferson Shreve, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Shreve for Congress.
Come on, Indy. Don't use the spring to paint your house year after year. Do what Deanna did. She called Rhino Shield.
I was noticing some cracks and the paint's faded. I was like, okay, I think I should get my house painted. So my neighbor had a Rhino Shield placard in the yard. And after they were finished, I was just, wow. With the warranty and everything, it just seemed silly not to go that route.
The ceramic coating of Rhino Shield is specifically formulated for our climate.
So the Rhino Shield crew came out. Nothing was damaged in the process. I was very happy. They just didn't leave a mess. You couldn't even tell they were there. And the house looked so different. It just looked like a new home.
Backed by a 25-year transferable warranty. And now get the protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
Rhino Shield, I think it increases the value and the curb appeal of your home. Definitely worth it.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like climbing a mountain, but that mountain is also covered in banana peels. Then when something new gets added to your list, you're like, nope, I'm already climbing this huge, super slippery banana peel mountain of a to-do list. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to manage your policy on our mobile app. So climbing that banana peel mountain feels more like a leisurely stroll. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Chapters of this story take a whole month to tell. This is May. It starts with twists and turns on the IMS road course for the Sancio Grand Prix. Then PPG presents Armed Forces Indy 500 qualifying in the fight for the pole position. May continues with Indy's biggest party, Miller Lite Carb Day. And all roads lead to the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge. May is yours. May is ours. This is May. Buy now and save. Get tickets at IMS.com.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been a local, family-owned and operated business for nearly 50 years and helps keep central Indiana's economy strong by employing over 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis stands by their products and services while they share and embrace our conservative values. So when you have garage door problems, call them today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis, 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, it's Rob, and 2 years ago, I got my hair back. Look, you've lost 50% of your hair before you even notice. If your hair is thinning, grow your hair back this year with the company I trust and the only company I know with all the solutions in one place. Call 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com today. Get your hair back.
So you went to a concert last night. We discussed that earlier in the program. You were probably out a little bit later. Did you feel like the music was too loud?
You know, Tom Petty once said, I don't know, but I've been told you never slow down, you never grow old.
Mm-hmm. Well, if the music's too loud, then you're too old, right?
Maybe you just have bad hearing.
There's a new study that came out that says people in their mid-60s believe that old age doesn't begin until around the age of 75. So you're not old yet, Rob
Well,
Kendall.
I saw this, and this was interesting. So, like at the Judas Priest concert, we were, as we talked about earlier, some of the younger people there.
Sure.
But what's fascinating to me is how society has kind of changed. And as society has changed, the perception of aging has changed. Like, I don't know, you're a little more seasoned than me. But were you like me when you were a kid? If someone was 60, you thought, wow, that person is old.
Old, yes.
I mean, here's kind of the best example I could come up with this. When I was a kid in 1998, Jack Nicklaus almost won the Masters at 58 years old. And he came from out of nowhere on Sunday, and the whole day it was like this ancient legend, is barreling towards history. And boy, wouldn't this be incredible that this guy who they had to dig up out of the ground with the dinosaurs could pull this off. Well, now I look at it like with golf, there's a bunch of these 58-year-old or 60-year-old guys who still could run out there, and if they got it right for a weekend or 4 days, could win the Masters. Like, no, it wouldn't even be that big of a deal. I think aging has changed because people take better care of themselves. People kind of, are more in tune to that they're, hey, I'm going to live longer, so, I'm going to, put a little more stock in what I put into my body. I just think that the perception of societies with older people doing more things, older people are still being mainstream actors. You've got musicians. Heck, these guys that I listen to are in their 70s and are still rip-roaring.
Look at Mick Jagger, 80 years old, and he's still running across the stage.
I mean, that Judas Priest thing last night was the 50th anniversary.
Of course it was.
I just think the perception as kind of the baby boomer generation has come into their elder years, they've sort of stayed very active. They stayed very involved. And so it's not the way it was when their parents turned, say, 70 years old, where it was Matlock, Walter Cronkite, and knitting socks.
Okay, well, so you mentioned Matlock, and when I was younger, when I think of some of the actors and TV shows that I watched, people like Ann B. Davis, who was Alice on the Brady Bunch, or Ted Knight from Mary Tyler Moore, or even the Golden Girls, right? Popular show. They seemed really, really old.
Yeah.
They're younger. They were younger then than I am currently.
Right.
And I look back and I think, oh my gosh, they just look so old. I think a lot of it has to do with how people are acting and how they feel and how they present themselves as being younger as well.
Well, and again, I think it's also the sort of active connection, I guess is the word that I would come up with. So many people now, and maybe it's because of social media, people stay in touch. There's more active connections by which people kind of find groups and they kind of do things, and many of them do involve some level of physical activity, and I think that's part of it. I distinctly remember my grandfather's 70th birthday.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that crazy, the things you just randomly remember? Now, my grandfather lived to be 92 years old, so there's no reason.
You've got good genes.
It wasn't like, oh, this was his final birthday. That's why it's in my mind. It was his 70th birthday, and I just remember as a little kid being like, that is so old.
Yeah.
And now it's like, hey, you got Bruce Springsteen on tour at 75. Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones are 80 plus. And it's like, I was just impressed my grandfather was still alive. Much as he wasn't out playing concerts 3 hours a night or doing, athletic events or whatever. So I just think we have the whole way society views things has shifted.
Well, seniors now think that 75 is the new 65, but I've got a list here to help you out. And these are some things that are telltale signs that you, in fact, are getting old.
Oh.
And I don't know. I can relate to a few on this list. Let's see how you do. If you're at least 10 years older than anyone else at the bar, that means you're getting old.
Yeah.
If your varicose veins are ruining your look.
Good one.
If the dress is a little too short and you want to cover up, maybe that's a problem.
Yeah.
You refer to anyone younger than you as a young person. I am so guilty of that. I do that all the time. In fact, the dude and I were talking about Kevin the other day, and I said, he's a good kid. He's nearly 30.
You young people.
If you hear a teenager talking and have absolutely no idea what they're saying, that means you might be getting old. If you have children and your name suddenly becomes Billy's mom or Joe's dad or Mr. Kendall. When you become Olivia's dad versus Rob, that means you're getting old. When you realize that music just isn't the same as it was back in your day, this is a sign that you're getting old. And if you don't need to bring your driver's license because you know you're not going to get carded, that definitely means that you're getting old.
Well, those are all perfect. Those are all very, very, very good. Here's the thing, though, Casey, and you know me, I'm the last person to ever toot my own horn.
Of course.
However, and I credit this to my grandmother because she also lived to be 92 years old. And very late into her life, she still looked like she was about 60.
Yeah.
You know, we posted that photo earlier of me going to an event with my buddy Scott, who I went to the Judas Priest concert with last night.
Yeah.
From 17 years. And the difference, I feel like
you look the same.
I'm still pretty much the same weight, and thanks to We Grow Hair Indy, same hair, and I don't feel like there's wrinkles all over me.
Right, and you're not wearing glasses because of your 2010 vision.
That's right. So I and you can see that photo, by the way, at Rob M. Kendall on Twitter. We got Casey tagged in that as well. I think, now internally I could be a complete mess and I could be out of here by the time I'm 55. But what is it, carry a good, what is the old thing? Carry a beautiful corpse or whatever.
Right.
I think thus far, knocking wood, I'm holding up my end of the bargain.
You're going to be okay.
Yep.
And you don't even need the Botox.
Yeah, I give all the credit to my grandma Kendall because, well, it is and my dad was the same way. My dad, he looked incredibly young until probably he had a full head of dark hair well into his 50s.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. It's weight and hair and,
lifestyle.
If you haven't spent your life in a smoke shop, if you don't have
how you take care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes it's just God just gives you good genetics.
This is true. And it sounds like you do have some good genes, especially if you had two grandparents living to the age of 92.
Well, I think what God said to me when I came out is he said, you're going to be very short and people are going to make fun of you for being very short, but you're going to look very young, into middle age.
Doing it.
That's a trade-off.
You may be vertically challenged, but we're going to give you some other good stuff. You'll be around forever. All right, Small King, it's time for us to go. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for listening today. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hey, it's Hammer and Nigel for Window Nation. Now, you may hear the same offers from competing window companies. So why would you choose Window Nation over the rest? Window Nation is all about paying attention to detail. They measure their windows 3 times to ensure the proper fit. They have a 96% customer satisfaction rating, so they get the job done right the first time. And they are experienced. Each installer has averaged over 10 years of experience.
You could have the best window in the world, but if it's not installed properly, it's not going to do you any good. Window Nation, they use top-of-the-line materials to ensure that your windows are installed perfectly the first time, and they back everything with a lifetime warranty. To go along with all these reasons, there's also this amazing deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. And there's no limit. 0 interest or payments for 24 months. You can't afford to miss this deal. Go with the experts. Go with Window Nation. 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-948-6033 to speak to an expert. That's 800-948-6033.
Indiana Pathways for Aging helps Hoosier Medicaid members age 60 and over get support at no additional cost to live life their way.
Mom's Parkinson's is progressing, and Pathways provides in-home support so she can be with family every day.
Pathways coordinates Medicaid and Medicare services. I'm getting help with meals, personal care, and transportation.
One day, I might choose a nursing home, but today, I have options with Pathways.
Eligible members can select a plan now. Call 87 Pathway 4 or visit in.gov/pathways.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5